is currently live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place, of course, about games, friends, and getting better. I'm still not Ben Hansen. He's still off doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but I am Kyle Hilliard. I'm joined by Jeff Marchiafava.
Hello.
Kelsey Lewin is here,
Hi, that's me.
and Brian Vore. What's up, Brian?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Just watched a little summer game fest today.
A little. You got a little version? Mine was like 2 hours.
Big applause too for Jeffem for handling the tech today.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I realized I didn't do any audio checks. So if people in the comment can tell us if we all sound about right, the little orange, the orange or the levels seem they're bouncing in the yellow zone, which I think is what we're aiming for. But if
Are
Okay.
we all bouncing in the yellows? That's
think
what
so,
Chad needs
yeah.
to tell us.
Are we bouncing the yellows? Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, first of all, happy Pride Month. I wanted to call that out. Made sure that we acknowledge that for MinnMax, and I wanted to issue 2 corrections from last week that I flubbed. I was very nervous last week, and we talked about. I'll do this quick. We talked about this other podcast called The Doughboys. And there's a person on there who I said worked on a Final Fantasy video game. That was wrong. I meant to say the Fantastic Four video game.
Oh, that's
2
different.
very different video games. One was based on a film. One is a good video game ostensibly. And then also I said that Zachary Pligge was Super Mario 64's game champion. That was wrong. Pligge is a Superman 64 champion. Again, very different
These
game.
things could not be further apart. Oh, no.
I know. But what we're really here to talk about, of course, is Summer Game Fest. It happened earlier today. We all watched it. Some of you guys streamed it. I didn't stream it, but you guys streamed it together?
Yeah, Kelsey and I.
And
Along
how'd
with
that
Sarah.
go? Did you guys
Yep.
have it? And Sarah was there too? Did you guys
Yep.
have a good old time?
We had a perfectly key 3.
That's good. I saw it was being broadcast to IMAX, which is cool. And Keeley's has it's like the family business IMAX. His father
Oh
founded
yeah,
IMAX.
yeah.
Wait, is that true? Is that why that keeps happening?
That's why that keeps
Yeah.
happening.
Oh, that's okay.
That's his middle name,
Cool.
true. Jeff IMAX Keeley.
They didn't name him Max.
Oh man,
That's a huge
that's
oversight.
big. All right. But the thing that was funny is I guess some IMAX theaters did have a couple issues. So I saw people sharing tweets of Big No-No, of course, taking photos in a theater. But what they were doing is the IMAX screen went out, so they just pulled it up on their phones and were watching Summer Game Fest on their phone in the IMAX theaters.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I was like, that sucks. Oh,
That's
man.
the experience right there.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, that's watching a video on your phone in a theater. I've never done that. Maybe that's exciting. Oh man, but let's dive into it. It was a big show. It was 2 hours long, which includes The Rock's advertisements in the middle for his energy drink and movies and some other I don't know. He talked about Fortnite as well, I think.
Yeah,
I think he was mostly
I think he was
talking about
in
how
Fortnite.
Yeah. He just wanted everyone
He's the
to
foundation.
be reminded that the reason he's there, the glue connecting him to video games is he's in Fortnite.
Right. And
He's also in the WWE games. Usually.
I guess
Yeah.
And he has his own. He was almost in a Spy Hunter movie, or he was in the Spy Hunter game. I think he was in the game.
Yeah, there was that game that came out that was supposed to be like a tie-in with the movie, but then the movie got canned and the game still came out.
Yes, that's what it was. He didn't bring that up for some reason. I don't know why. But we can just dive into it. We're just going to kind of go down the whole list here. Street Fighter 6 was the first thing that was shown. They revealed Guile is going to be in the game, which it's kind of one of those I kind of assumed he was going to be there. I don't know. Street Fighter is so strange with those characters. Though I guess you shouldn't always assume somebody's going to be in the game. I mean, they didn't they like one generation Blanca like wasn't in the game for a little while or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I don't know who was not expecting to see Guile. I guess the bigger thing was just his hair is even more outrageous than it's ever been. Um,
Yeah,
when it was
it's all
2D, it
about the
always
tone.
kind of just looked like a mohawk, but then once you see it in 3D, it's like no, it sprouts and goes in all directions apparently.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very like I don't know how he maintains the like very careful curve that's even
Mhm.
on every side. I mean, it does not translate very well to 3D.
No.
Yeah, and I
yeah.
guess
You're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, because
Oh,
you
totally.
got to confirm that everyone's favorites are there, and then, but if you say that, then they're like, "Duh, big surprise, Guile's in there." So
yeah.
Mhm.
you really can't win. But I did. He's got a little blonde goatee now, like a tight little goat. They're changing up his look a little bit.
Oh, right. And that was, I guess, the first like proper gameplay we'd seen. And the game, it looks cool. It looks great. I'm not a big Street Fighter guy, so it wasn't. I didn't really get super jazzed about it. And I'm looking into the eyes of you three. I don't think any of you are big Street Fighter fans. I don't know. Maybe
I
you
mean,
are,
on the
Brian.
on the on the stream, the three of us, Jeff Mansara and I were like, we are not the right people to be reacting to this. This
Yeah.
sure looks
Okay.
like a
Okay.
fighting game.
Should have
Yeah, I
called
mean,
Burial
I
again.
I played it way back in the day, like the twos and threes and stuff. But yeah, certainly not like anywhere near pro level or anything of the current stuff.
Yeah. Next up was Aliens Dark Descent. Brian, I don't remember. Are you a big Aliens guy? For some reason, I feel like
Yeah.
your desk at GI had like an alien figure on it or something. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Hmm. I don't quite recall an alien figure, but it could have been in
Okay.
the mix there. There was a lot of crap on my desk. Uh, I do like the movies, and uh, I enjoyed like the Alien 3 Super Nintendo game back in the day, and um, I thought it was funny how this thing was like, "Ooh, it's a new Alien game. Like, what's it gonna be like?" And then they don't really reveal to the end that it's kind of like a top-down shooter,
Yeah.
which could be fun. A little actiony,
Yeah,
like
that
Contra, some like Contra Super C stuff going on
hmm
there.
Yeah, it also reminded me of Helldivers a little bit, or at least that looks like it what it might kind of be like. That one was weird because when it started, we all kind of thought it was the Callisto Protocol because it was very much that like space marine dudes in a dark, scary space horror vibe thing going on with it. And then just the more and more they showed, it was like, no, this this looks more than it was just inspired by aliens. Like this is just straight up aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the very end, it's like, oh, but also maybe it looks like it's top down kind of shooter.
Well, my reaction was like, it's like, man, everyone wants to emulate that scene with the radar. Like that is become such a video game staple of like, the radar pinging and all the different enemies coming in and stuff like that. Like, and I was watching it and I was like, man, they're really going for it. Like this is what this game is going to be. And then like it really felt like, I mean, I'm not being rude because I'm sure it's fun, but it really felt like the rug was like pulled out
Yeah,
from under me when it was like they showed gameplay. I was like, oh, that okay, that looks all right. Like it was really not what I was expecting at all, based on and clearly pre-rendered, but it just looked like, oh, this is like a big budget aliens shooter that's really going all in on the visuals, and it's like the ultimate game is like an overhead, maybe like twin stick even. I don't know.
yeah,
I think it'll be fun. It looks fun. I like those kinds of games, but it just was not what I was expecting at all.
yeah,
It's a
and
jarring move, to be sure.
yeah, and the whole time I was kind of wondering like which alien camp is it going to fall into? Is it going to be like isolation quality or is it going to be colonial marines? And it's like, okay, no, it's something completely different. We're on a completely different scale here for what we're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
that one's coming out. I mean, I guess announced so quickly after the sort of the Left 4 Dead sort of inspired one, which I feel like the response to that one was like, yeah, it's all right. It's cool to shoot xenomorphs with friends, but I didn't really, elevate or become as successful as as Left 4 Dead or anything like that.
I feel like
I,
this game started off the theme of the Summer Game Fest of sci-fi horror in the dark dark, scary ships. Like 40% of the games were in that vibe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It really
stuff
seemed
going
like
wrong in
it.
space is
And
like, yeah.
finally, at the end, Jeff Keighley like acknowledged it and was like, there were a lot of space games, huh? Like, yeah, okay.
Well, didn't
That's-
he? I feel like he said it. Gosh, what was it? I'm trying to look at my notes. I think it was for the Myoho game, the Honkai Star Rail. I think that was the one that he was like, a lot of space games, and I was like, this one looks so different
Yeah.
than Callisto Protocol and Aliens.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. You're not wrong, Jeff Keighley. And speaking of Callisto Protocol, they that's what they showed next, which they brought out Glenn Schofield, who's very nice. Seems like a very sweet guy. Doesn't if he seems nicer than what the games that he makes are, because they're pretty brutal. But he
Mhm.
was very complimentary to Jeff. It was the trailer they showed at State of Play, which was a good trailer and got me really excited because I mean it's Dead Space. Like you even have the kinesis. It looks like to the point where I'm kind of like they can go that close to Dead Space? Like I don't know. It seems like there needs to be more separation.
You see, Kyle, the health meter is horizontal. It's not vertical, so it's a
You're
totally
right.
different
Yeah.
game.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right.
That.
It is cool how they're not rushing, but like they purposely, I think, are getting it out as soon as possible this year to beat the Dead Space official remake, right? Just to like
They need to.
beat into the chase, right?
I guess I say they need to, but I mean, maybe they don't. Like maybe when you're actually playing it, it does feel more unique. But just seeing gameplay, it just looks so close to Dead Space, which is not a
Yeah.
complaint.
Yeah. It did.
And how much Dead Space appetite is there right now? It seems like it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
for
Summer
sure.
Game Fest is to be believed, like we want nothing more than to leave this planet, even if it's horrifying.
Yeah, I hope there's a big appetite out there for it because you're getting a lot of it.
Yeah, it looks like so. The other thing that seemed unique to it is I think there was like a dodge move, like a Resident Evil kind of later third person Resident Evil game dodge style move, which is cool. I like pulling that kind of stuff off when you're fighting monsters. And then the sort of the ending to the gameplay footage when the character gets like sucked into I guess like that turbine or whatever. That was like really intense and scary. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a lot of jumping up on your couch playing that game. A lot of spooks.
Yeah, for sure.
Spooks. That's the back of the box quote right there. Get ready for a lot of spooks.
A lot of spooks.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then okay, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which I'm a little confused about because I think that level was like a Modern Warfare 1 level.
Kyle, I love this because you're hitting all the same things that we were completely confused about during the reaction
Okay.
stream. Yeah, apparently, according to the comments, it's a new game in the way that I guess the last Modern Warfare was. Not supposedly not retreading the same story. I guess they just kind of retconned out the old ones at this point and they're retelling everything. And it's supposed to be completely new plot and gameplay. But yeah, the entire time I was watching it, I was thinking that it was a remake. And the whole time I was thinking, oh yeah, I remember a mission where you kind of go up on boats onto an oil rig and then kind of shoot a bunch of people on an oil rig, but I couldn't remember much past that. And then all the comments were like, "No, Jeff, it's not a remake. It's a completely new game." And then it was like 20 minutes of us talking about how in the heck they're calling a game Modern Warfare 2 the exact same title as the previous one, even though it's supposedly a new game now and what is going on in the video game industry anymore.
Yeah.
Well, and my problem with Summer Game Fest specifically, like this was the first time I felt like this was a big problem there. I don't feel like they did a great job of kind of explaining for people who aren't super plugged in all the time to the news, like what we were actually looking at. Like the very first thing they should have led with, and I know they have said this in other places, but the very first thing they should have led with is like, this is not a remake of Modern Warfare 2. Like, explain what it is, again, because some people are seeing this for the first time,
Mhm.
or some people are like, oh yeah, I heard about that, but they're just assuming it's a remake or whatever. And I don't know, I just feel like communication on that kind of stuff in Summer Game Fest was kind of weak this year. Like if you're not perpetually online and following the news,
You might have been surprised by the ending, is what would have happened.
yeah.
So, Kelsey,
Which
you're
I'm sure we'll
saying
get to.
you're saying they shouldn't have rented an oil rig and plastered a giant poster on the ground to announce the game?
If that's how they want to spend their money, by all means, but please just explain that this is not a
Yeah.
remake of Modern Warfare 2.
That moment just felt like I was like, yes, this is E3 to me. This is E3 is like spending entirely too much money on something that just does absolutely nothing to inform me or get me excited about the game in any way. It's just like, look, we spent a lot of money to be here. It's like, okay,
Someone
great.
really wanted it.
I know we're gonna cut the gameplay soon, and I'll get excited about that. Fantastic looking water. That's what got me excited. The sort of the rain and the water like falling, off the rails and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, Call of Duty. This looks
That's because their
fantastic.
water has water tech, Kyle.
I know. I mean,
They explain that.
I try not to buy into that sort of, blast processing kind of stuff, but I was like, man, that water looks really good, you guys. I think you nailed it. And I also the storage containers like sliding around on the ship. I thought were really cool. I don't think I don't really remember the last time I finished a Call of Duty campaign. I've started almost every one, but watching this, I was like, I want to play that level. Like this looks cool. It almost looks a little more compact, which is like maybe more close to the original Modern Warfares. So I'm into that.
Yeah.
Maybe this one I'll play. Jeff, you're smiling like
I,
something.
I was gonna say
wrong.
we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Sarah throughout the entire demo was very confused as to who you were shooting and like how you're supposed to tell your allies from the enemies in that. And I am 100% with her because I will be shooting your teammates the entire time because it's just like during that entire demo they were popping up all over the place right into your line of sight. But I guess the player who was playing it was an oracle because they knew exactly which ones they were supposed to shoot and who they weren't.
I do think. I mean, they must have removed some UI elements, right, for the demo. So I mean, your
Yeah.
I know what
teammates
I'm
probably have their
thinking.
names over their head.
Yeah.
That's usually how they do it, right?
That's got
The big follow sign,
Yeah. And then Johanna or Joanna, I don't remember how they pronounce her. Fairies. She said that she called it. Again, it's just marketing speak, but she called it a transformational moment for the Call of Duty franchise. And I was just, I'm just kind of curious, like, why? Like, how do they justify that phrase? Like, what is it that's going to be so radically different about this one? I mean, it looks cool.
The water tech, Kyle. It's the water tech.
It is really good. That was a big highlight for me, I gotta say. And then it's going to have, like, Warzone 2.0 with it, but they are going to continue to support Warzone 1.0.
which was all very confusing.
Like, all right,
yeah,
cool.
how that's working. But yeah, I'm happy to see what the next Warzone looks like.
Yeah. Are any of you guys Flashback fans? Was that an exciting announcement for any of you?
I recognized it pretty early when they were showing it. That's about as good as I think I bought it on the Switch when it must have been like 99 cents. I guess I don't know whatever it was
the original maybe
on the eShop. But I haven't played it yet. I was a fan of Out of This World, so that's why I got Flashback.
Is it similar to that game? It's not like the same people who made the originals or anything, right? It's just
I don't know if it is
right?
or not.
I don't think it is. I think they were just similar.
Yeah.
And I know my familiarity with it is they remade it like 8 years ago or something like that, and it was like a total thud. Like I think the reviews were bad and no one was excited about it.
Ooh, was it because they did a bad job remaking what was cool about the original game, or are people just like not into that style of gameplay in the modern era?
I mean, I think it could be the former. I think it could just be it wasn't a great remake because it's like looking at the original, like it looks cool. It kind of looks like Jeffem said, it looks like another world. which you can kind of extrapolate into like being a big Playdead influence, and I love Playdead games. So it seems like it's in my sort of under my umbrella of things I would like. But I just know that the other remake was poorly received, so I'm curious what this one's going to be like.
Well, and also they didn't really show much of anything. Like they showed everything they showed was like through a filter. Like you're looking at gameplay footage, but like on a screen that's tilted this way or whatever. And I'm like, that's a weird choice to me anytime that someone does something like that. Cause I'm like, well, now I don't know anything. And you might as well have just said Flashback 2.
Yeah.
Right. Or to the power
Yeah.
of 2, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Flashback squared, whatever they're going with there.
Yeah, I wonder how you reach. They make a big deal of like it's been 30 years. How do you reach these lapsed fans from 30 years ago, like old people who maybe haven't played the first game forever? Like, how are they going to find out about this? They're not streaming Summer Games Fest to find out when their sequel to their favorite classic is coming. It's an
Yeah,
interesting
I don't know.
challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'll follow it. It's one I'll watch closely. But it was I'll sort of maybe we're being negative, but like I do kind of like the left field announcements stuff too. Like I do like the kind of announcements that I have to kind of almost Google and be like Flashback. Well, that sounds familiar,
remember, it's one of those like when I was a kid, like, wow, the animation looks incredible, but I don't know what to do or where to go. So
Yeah.
you never really got that far.
Yeah, Kelsey, I don't mean to alarm you, but I think you have a bird on your
I
shoulder.
I do. He's kind of going in and out of focus, but
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, there he is.
he's hanging out here because if he hangs out in another room, he will scream. So
Oh, okay.
See,
He's just excited about Summer Game Fest. I don't know.
yeah, he watched the whole thing.
Yeah. Witchfire was one that I guess was not a new announcement, but it wasn't one I was familiar with. It looks like Dark Souls aesthetic, but first person with guns. I assume that's what they're going for, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Is anyone super jazzed about that one?
Yeah,
I thought it looked cool.
that one looked interesting as well, and maybe it was because it came after like 4 previews for space horror games, but the
yeah,
aesthetic
another one
of
coming right
almost like cowboy in a fantasy world shooting skeletons and demons and stuff, and yeah, the gameplay looked very smooth as well. So I'm always happy to play a shooter that's not one of the 3 basic templates of, you're shooting zombies or soldiers or robots or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aliens.
I like things with a little bit of magic.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember it being announced. Apparently, it was announced way back in 2017 Game Awards or something.
Okay.
I do not recall that footage or announcement, but it looked like it ran well. It like has a cool design, like it looks like high end. And then yeah, being able to cast spells and shoot guys at the same time is always a fun combo. Looked like there was some pretty smooth platforming, and then even like environmental fighting where you would like shoot a bell and it would like make all the enemies go like ah. So I guess if they kind of mix a lot of environmental spells and all that stuff, it could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the only reprise we got from space horror, because we had 2 in a row next. Fort Solace, right? Did you guys catch? Is Troy Baker? Is he just like a performer in the game, or it seems almost like he's like actively involved in development and writing or something? But maybe I was misreading that. Maybe he was just super excited to be involved.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know. I assumed he was just an actor, but like he did tell a long story about how he thought that he couldn't pull off something, and then the scriptwriter was like, "No, you can do it." And then he believed in himself and he could do it. And I was
It was uplifting.
But he
yeah,
didn't
it's
enlighten
wonderful.
any of us as to what he was talking about, right?
No.
But the story is that someone gave him a compliment. That's the important part.
Nice. Cool guy, Troy.
Yeah, no socks, no hat. He's come a long way.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Um,
it's like him. Are the characters like these are people that like give you video? This and was it Roger Clark from Red Dead 2? that they're basically like talking heads on a screen, or maybe one of them is your character.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems that's a good question. Yeah, I don't think you play as either of them, do you? Because they're very well defined characters, or at least on stage they were like, this is this guy's job. He does this. Like, I don't know if they would assign a lot of those details to the player character, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
This seemed less of like shooting up a bunch of stuff and more like just sneaking through and it's dark and maybe something will jump out.
Yeah, it made me wonder if they had him on just because he was already going to be there for the Last of Us stuff.
Oh,
Troy Baker,
he's around, hanging out. yeah. They called it. I think it was Troy Baker called it. Dead Space meets Duncan Jones's Moon. Which
isn't that one of your big movies, Kyle?
Yeah, I love that movie. I love Dead Space, so like I like that idea. We'll see how it goes. But I like just calling those two references into a video game. I think is very cool and could be really cool. And then another one kind of like Witchfire, which I guess had been previously announced, but it was not one that I remembered. It must have been a while ago. Apparently, it was announced a decade ago. Was Routine, which we just saw a bunch of scary shots of like walking around a space station, but it looked like really realistic. It looked really
That's some
good.
with robots. That's the
Right.
robot or space horror, but robots.
Yes.
But add robot. Swap in the Dead Space monsters for robots. But that was my big takeaway from that. I guess I don't know if that's like an Unreal Engine showcase or something like that, but it looked really good.
Yeah,
it did look really good.
It almost had like a VHS filter that made it look, almost like photorealistic to it. It's I enjoy those kind of moody, almost walking simulator survival type games. I don't know if that's what it's going to end up being like because all we really saw was one robot attacking you at the end. So I'm not sure what which I mean, if you're designing robots to just like be doing menial tasks, you don't have to make them look so demonic. Like that's that's going to backfire on you once they start killing your employees.
Yeah, why even give a red eye LED an option? It's just, they're definitely going to be evil.
Yeah.
Maybe
do you think all these devs knew that there were going to be so many other space horror games? Like they thought, oh yeah, we'll stand out. Maybe Dead Space remake will show up, but we're definitely going to stand out. And then they were just like packed in between two other games, and like, how do they expect the average fan in person to like tell them all apart at the end of the day?
Yeah, they're watching like 3 more space horror games go before their own, and they're like, oh god.
Yeah, especially for Glenn Schofield to be there and have people like directly referencing, oh, it's like Dead Space, and it's like, well, I'm also here for my also game that's also like Dead Space. I don't know, maybe they all got together in the green room in the back and just had a laugh and pat each other on the back.
I think it's fairly safe to assume that they didn't know. I don't think that if you're part of a show like that, I think it's all very secretive to the point where it's not like what else is happening there.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Maybe Jeff let everybody know.
Yeah, it must have been a nice surprise for all those people.
I know. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's funny. Their script, like I was just saying, they're talking about Duncan Jones's movie Moon and Dead Space specifically, and it was really like 10 minutes earlier. We were just looking at Callisto Protocol, so. And then, of course, that was where we got our break with The Rock in his workout room, which he just kept going on and like weirdly on and on about himself. It was very strange. I was very confused.
That must have been an ad.
Yes, it has to have been, right?
I had trouble in the showcase understanding where like the announcements were versus the ads. Like the Nintendo ads were pretty obviously ads, but like that's kind of it. Everything else was like, okay, well, was that an ad because we know about it? Like him talking about his energy drinks is clearly an ad, but like, is he here because that's supposed to be like an exciting reveal about his movie and like that? Or is that just an ad? Like I really don't know.
I mean, same with Fall Guys, which was it was The Rock, it was the Nintendo stuff, and then it was Fall Guys. Like all three of those things, it was very much like these feel like paid advertisements. I'm pretty sure that's what these are.
Yeah.
But then there's an announcement at the end of the Fall Guys one that was like part of it was free or something, like something.
That's not new though. That they said that was coming. Like that.
Oh,
that was,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So that wasn't an announcement.
So that was just an ad, but for some reason it appeared on the giant screen behind Jeff Keighley in addition to the ad playing.
I guess. Yeah, I think so. It's very weird. I don't know.
You know,
I think what Keighley likes to do is he likes to get big celebrities to like help draw viewers. So he's able to tweet out, "The Rock is going to be here," and then the studio gets placement for their Black Adam trailer. And Rock is like, "If I'm going to spend any of my precious minutes of my day, which are I'm worth, X amount of tons of money every minute, like all my time is budgeted and scheduled, then I'm going to promote all the stuff that I want, everything that benefits me while I'm on here."
Yeah.
It's kind of, mutually beneficial because they get the rub of like, oh, we have a huge celebrity, and then he gets to like directly speak to, you know, pretty sweet demographic about that very much overlaps with his movie and his energy drinks and all that.
But doesn't
Tries to
it feel a
control.
little disingenuous to be like, we have this huge celebrity coming on in our showcase, and it's like, you do, but for an ad. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
and same thing with him with Keighley saying, "Oh, we have games for everyone, including the Switch." And it's like, well, you played a commercial for a Switch game, during your show. I don't know if I would call that, this amazing crossover
Yeah.
with Nintendo or anything.
Or they show next gen PS5 footage of a game, and then at the end at the trailer, there's like a little dot that says this also on Switch. Like
Yeah.
that's how they include it.
It just, I don't know, something about, I think it was because he kept pulling his energy drink into frame and out of frame like that's just what made it feel extra gross to me. Like it's always a little gross.
I mean,
there's always like, hey, check out my new movie, but that just felt like, it just felt excessive for some reason.
Yeah, this is like the 2.0 of Keighley eating Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew. Like he figured out the next step, make it a little more subtle, or at least push it off onto a celebrity doing it, so he doesn't have to do it, I guess.
Yeah. This wasn't part of the show, but speaking of energy drinks, Jeff Keighley tweeted like right before that he has never had a sip of coffee in his life, which is like.
Then someone in the comments went back and found tweets of his where he mentioned having coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the internet.
Busted.
Sometimes.
Amazing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, important aspects.
Both parts of that are equally weird. It's incredibly weird to have never tried coffee. It's super weird to lie about having never tried coffee.
Is he bragging? Like, what's he?
I don't know. And maybe
I
he's
only
not
drink
lying.
Zoa energy drinks, people.
Maybe it's not that he's lying and that, like, when he says, like, I'm getting coffee with, he just means, like, he's going to a coffee shop and, like, maybe what he's actually drinking is tea or something like that. But it's still, I don't know. That was a
little
weird.
odd.
Yeah.
I'm not even like a big coffee guy. I don't drink a lot of coffee, but to like have never had it in your entire life.
Never even tried it?
Odd. Yeah, it's very strange.
I mean, is it a moral opposition at that point? Like, that's the weird part about it to me. Is like, why wouldn't you at least try this thing that everybody else loves and is very easily available?
I think Mormons don't drink coffee, right? That's like maybe
they don't drink caffeine in general, though, right?
In general, so maybe there's something there.
All right.
If I were a big fancy dev, and I'd be like, I'd love to talk about my game, but first, tell me what your deal is with coffee. And he'd just have to answer live.
Make him try coffee live.
I just brought you
on stream. I
have
brought you this coffee.
Have a sip, and then we can show my fancy new trailer.
Someone has to do that. Like, surely he'll be doing wrap-up interviews and podcasts and stuff. Someone just needs to get just pull that out into a little clip of watch Jeff Keighley try coffee for the first time.
He seems like the kind of guy that would, as a background in TV production, he knows what makes good TV, and now that's got everyone curious. So maybe if Reggie makes him do it, he'll be like, "Fine, I'll finally have coffee. You're my best friend."
My best Kojima and Reggie corner him.
Oh
yeah,
you gotta try this stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's killer.
Kojima just needs to tell him that he really likes coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And then I'll be like, oh, well, if you really like coffee, then
Sign me
I'll
up.
I'll try it too. Yeah.
All right, let's see. So Stormgate was another one where we didn't get any gameplay, just a pre-rendered sort of trailer. But I think it's a free to play RTS, which is kind of interesting. You're fighting demons, so maybe it's kind of like a Diablo, but with Warcraft mechanics or Starcraft mechanics or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, and that was another one where, I mean, it was like a 2-minute trailer of all CG that looked like it could have been indicative of what, kind of gameplay you could expect from it. And then another rug pull at the end of, and not even in the trailer, but when they came out to talk about the game of, oh, by the way, this is an RTS, which, nothing wrong with RTS. Like that's not a genre I'm super into, but it's great that RTS fans are going to actually get another RTS that they can play. But that feels like something again that you have to lead with to let people know, like, hey, this is what you should be getting excited about.
Yeah.
Many
and it's also
free to
it's kind of
play
hard.
RTS games? Like, is that translate to free to play very often?
I don't think it. I mean, there's some of the Clash of Clans, which is kind of like RTS ish, but in terms of like what I would assume is like a StarCraft inspired kind of thing, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Hmm.
We'll have to
I'm
try
sure
it
I'm
out.
sure Hansen will be over the moon with that when he gets
Yeah.
back.
Wherever he is, we don't know where he is.
Yeah.
He's lost.
He's
Did
off
we
the
lose
grid.
him?
We lost it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Oh man.
We've been trying to kind of keep it quiet, but he's just disappeared.
Where in the world is Ben Hansen? We got to track him down.
Let's see. So yeah, we'll maybe because I think a lot of the big ones we've sort of talked about. So maybe we can kind of start speed running these a little bit. High Water. It's like an indie game where you're sort of in a boat in a wasteland. Which looked cool. I liked that Jeff Keighley called out the Ukrainian dev.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For
I like that
Waste.
too.
I thought that was really cool, and that
Yeah.
game actually does look really cool. Almost sort of separate from all the sort of political things that are happening. Like that just looks like a solid game, and it was nice for him to sort of reference it and also explain that they couldn't get something ready in time, but he wanted to highlight it. Like I thought that was cool. I thought
Yeah.
that was nice. Let's see. American Arcadia is like sounds like the Truman Show. Except
Yeah.
you're trying to escape. That seems kind of
I
interesting.
thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was
Yeah.
an interesting looking concept. It was one of the, I don't know, not a lot of like crazy big surprises in this one, but it was one where I was like, okay, like wouldn't
Cool
have seen
idea.
that coming, and sure, sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
something that's a little cartoony and bright, even though there might be sinister undertones, really stands out when it's all this dark space crap. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
that's space stuff. Space stuff.
So maybe you guys, I don't know if you guys were taking notes necessarily, but I literally wrote down Dead Island 2, like when this next thing came up, and they were like, "It's cool," and like I had to sort of erase it, and I was like, if you didn't watch it, they basically said, "Hey, the long-awaited sequel, here we go," and they remade the Dead Island 2 sort of trailer from many years ago. That game, I guess, has just disappeared into the ether. But then it turned out to be a Goat Simulator 3 reveal, not 2, 3. And I
Yeah,
was like,
2 does not exist, to be clear.
yeah, yeah, right.
So they are just
They're
being
having fun
like
over there. Yeah.
quirky, and you know what? I'm actually surprised it's taken this long for a game to do that. For a game to just
Sure,
like
yeah.
skip a number as a
Mhm.
way of being funny. Maybe it's been done before, but I don't think so. And I'm after they did it, I was like, yeah, why hasn't anyone done that before? That's I don't know.
I think there might have been like a Wii budget game that just was 2. Would they just called it 2 just to like trick consumers into thinking that's like, oh well, if it's got a sequel, they must be good.
Diabolical.
But
Yeah,
I watch it.
this is the most confused I've ever been over well, the skipping of the number is a great gag, but the most confused I was ever been over a sequel is Goonies 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
I was just about to bring that one up.
I was like, "Where's the Goonies 1?" I never could find it. Kelsey, was it like a Japan only thing, or what happened there?
Yeah, there is a Goonies, I believe, just a straight up Goonies in Japan. But yeah, it's a weird name. Like, again, it doesn't just do the Final Fantasy thing. It doesn't really matter what exists in Japan. People don't know about it. So, for all we know, Final Fantasy 2 is Final Fantasy 2. You don't have to call it 4 and pretend that 2 and 3, and then try to explain to people that 2 and 3 exist but not here. And yeah.
Yeah, I think in my kid brain, I thought maybe this picks up the story where Goonies the movie left off. Like,
There's
was
a
that what
Goonies
they were
2
going for?
movie.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to mention with the Goat Simulator thing was, like, I was watching the trailer. I thought it was really funny that they were just wholesale using the Dead Island 2 trailer, which I thought was hilarious. And I paused and I was like, are they allowed to do this? Like, is this is this legally okay for them to just fully make that trailer and trick people into thinking? I mean, trick is a strong word. I mean, it was pretty clear what was going on. I mean, it's like, oh wow, a worse looking version of Dead Island 2. Okay.
Yeah. Once the goats start showing up, I think you got a case for originality. That that probably diverts it enough. It's the goat
Parody
clause.
laws or whatever, right? Yeah.
Right.
The
There's-
goat clause is that's
Yep.
what specifically? Okay. The
Yeah,
goat parody. You can rip off anything as long as you do it with goats.
With goats.
That is the goat clause.
There we go. Marvel Midnight Suns, they still haven't really shown gameplay. Just sort of showing which characters are going to be in the game. You got Scary Hulk and Scary Venom.
Yeah, and
Spider-Man's in there.
that was another one of just, it was a completely cinematic CG trailer that absolutely told people nothing about what the genre is or what the gameplay, what we already know the gameplay is, or at least it if, again, like Kelsey said, if you're clued in beforehand and you know what it is, then you know that that wasn't indicative at all of what you're getting. But I feel sorry for anyone who that was the first time they heard about it and thought, hey, there's some big 3D action game coming out with Marvel characters in it.
It looks actiony, yeah.
It's kind of surprising to see Spider-Man show up when it's, he's so tied to Sony consoles where it seems like he's just going to be on every platform with this game, right?
Yeah, it seems like he's hard to get, almost like a celebrity or something, right? Like, it took forever for him to show up in Avengers and that kind of thing, but I guess he's going to be here right at the beginning for this one. Hey, shout out to Ben Reeves, friend of the show, off there doing stuff on that game.
Yeah.
He probably voices Venom or something. I think that's what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Cuphead has a date for the delicious last course, June 30th. Looks like more Cuphead, which is great. Looks very cool. Looks crazy. Neon White has a release date now, coming up June 16th. That's like the multiplayer shooter that takes place in heaven and uses cards.
That one has so many keywords, like, just hits all of the, like, very popular right now concepts of games, like card-based and just I wish I'd written it all down, but they showed, like, across the screen one at a time, like, all of the different phrases, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of just concepts that are popular right now. So
yeah, heaven, neon, just can't get enough of those things. Midnight Fight Express has the stuntman of God of War and a Destiny 2 co-writer, which is like it's weird credits to call out. I was like, sure, okay. Looks kind of like Hotline Miami. And then let's see, Warframe. I don't think any of us are very excited about Warframe. Sorry, Warframe. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
that
Brian,
was.
Are you a huge Warframe fan?
Who?
Brian. Brian? You look like a
Me?
huge Warframe fan. Yeah.
No, I've heard Mike Mahardy talk about it a lot on the Firescape. That's my knowledge is when he kind of gets like eyes roll back in his head and he's possessed by a Warframe demon and just like tells you everything that's happening in the game. But yeah, it's good to get a peek into that world. So I'm sure he's very excited.
Yeah. I cut you off, Jeff. Are you gonna say something?
No, just that was the point in the show where we were very confused as to, like, have we slipped into Day of the Devs, or have we transitioned away from the rest of the, like the first half of the show, which was all the big announcements, and it things cooled off a little during this section.
Yeah,
It ran a
yeah,
little long, and I think was maybe a little too much dev conversation that was I don't know. I think the whole showcase probably could have been a little bit snappier.
yeah. I think so. I mean, it's that sort of tough thing where it's like, I mean, I'm not really like offended by seeing these games I've never heard
No,
of.
of course
It's like,
not.
but it's like for the benefit of the show and keeping it sort of condensed and more exciting, I think it would have benefited from that. But yeah, and then Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero are the sort of the Genshin Impact developers games, which my new role at GameSpot, where I'm like the mobile gaming editor, like Zenless Zone Zero is one that I'm like watching very closely and
Are they
emailing them a
both
lot.
mobile as well as
I
console?
believe so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I want to play Zenless Zone Zero a lot, and I was even bugging them to try to let me into the beta, but they won't do it yet.
Mm.
TMNT Shredder's Revenge looks cool. Casey Jones is playable. Coming out June 16th. A 6-player mode
Yeah.
and a beat 'em
That
up.
looks like chaos.
Yeah.
Love to see it. I can't wait. That's
Has there ever
and it's
been a
coming out like
6-player
in a
mode?
few weeks. Like
Yeah.
there was a string of games where they're like, "Yep, it's coming out in June." Like a
Yeah.
lot of just like holding off that release date till the last second, but I'm here for it. I
I
love to
mean,
see April Casey Jones in the mix with the Turtles and 6-player local and online. So like if you have the controllers laying around, you can just go to town like the old school X-Men arcade game.
yeah, 6, like, I'm sure it's been done at some point, but it is one of those things where when they said that, I was like, has there ever been a 6-player co-op beat 'em up?
Can
I
they
don't
do
know.
this?
Are they allowed?
Well, that it works on online okay. Because it's
Yeah.
such kind of Twitch in the brawler space. It's kind of a Twitch gameplay style, but I would really anxious to try that one out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. I'm
Yeah.
not even the biggest like beat 'em up fan, but like I got to give it up for like beat 'em up Ninja Turtles. Like I played the hell out of that arcade game.
Yeah.
Super People looks like a hero shooter where people have superpowers. Interesting. Humankind is coming to consoles. Not one that I'm familiar with. Like that might as well have been an announcement for me. I wasn't familiar with that game. One Piece Odyssey. I don't know if Jeff and Brian. I assume you don't care about One Piece. Kelsey, do you like One Piece? Do you?
I respect my time too much to get involved with One Piece.
That's fair. That's fair. I really love One Piece. My dog is named Luffy. I'm excited for that game.
Aw.
I like a good that's what I want from games based on anime that I like is like single player RPGs.
Yeah, it looked really good too. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
stylistically and everything.
It looks like it could be one of those games that kind of gets out of the anime space, kind of like the Dragon Ball game that came out a couple years ago. I can't remember what it was
Like the
called.
fighting game.
No,
The Kakarot one?
yeah,
Yeah,
Kakarot, yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
where
It
it's
just kind
like,
of follows the story.
yeah, it's like I don't know a ton about the anime, but I like big open world games, and that One Piece looked cool.
Yeah, it
So
is.
can you explain this, Kyle? This is
Oh.
a 2-decade old anime. Like they've been running for a long time.
Yeah, I think they hit like 1,000 episodes recently. They're
Holy
celebrating like
crap!
a 10-year anniversary. It's just a really long running anime that does that thing that anime does really well, where it has a consistent story that has been progressing the whole time. You know,
Dang.
it's not like a bunch of spin-offs or standalone episodes. It's just one really exceptionally long arc of stories as Luffy tries to become the Pirate King. And just really hilarious and fun characters that you fall in love with very quickly.
Now,
Um,
am I understanding that it's coming to a close soon? Is that true?
Yes, it's the manga. I believe is coming to a close soon.
And
I don't
that's what
know.
the
And then
anime is based off of?
Yes, yeah.
the anime
It
is like
follows.
way, 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 way far behind the manga, right?
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be insane. Like I don't know how many. It has the potential to be like the longest running anime. Maybe I was looking it up recently randomly, but there are a couple like shows that have just aired forever in like little 10-minute shorts that technically have more episodes
Mm.
than One Piece. But yeah, it's you should check it out, Kelsey. It's really breezy, you know. It's really you just kind of watch a couple episodes and you're in and you're out.
Kyle, do you read the manga or are you waiting until it comes to the anime?
I just watched the anime. I haven't read any of the manga, and I'm not caught up. I've probably watched the first like 200 episodes. My wife, however, is caught up and really loves it even more than I do. So I've watched a lot of it over her shoulder, and then I started it on my own, and have been really enjoying it. I'm still watching it. All right, Soul Hackers 2. We got to hear what it sounds like in English. Metal
Not
Health
really
Singer.
though. That was
Yeah.
so weird. They were like, it's the reveal of the English voice cast. Now here are 2 entire lines.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
guess that's
what?
a good point.
Huh?
That's all they've done so far. They're really busy over there, I assume. Is that a Shin Megami spinoff?
It is.
Soul Hacker?
I
Okay.
mean, Soul Hackers is in general, but I didn't see it in the like. They didn't put it on the screen, which I
Yeah.
thought was kind of weird. But yeah, it is in general.
I guess that name just doesn't really mean much in America, because it's just Persona is sort
Yeah.
of the king, you know, and it's not. No one calls it Shin Megami Tensei Persona anymore.
I mean, a ton of Shin Megami Tensei games that are not Persona have come out here, so I
Right?
feel like it's still worth saying. But what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they should just call it not Persona Soul Hackers 2.
Or just
But
call
it's
it Persona Soul Hackers too. Just like screw it, why not? Yeah. So Metal Hellsinger, rhythm, sort of Doom-inspired shooter. It's gonna have Serge Tankian from System of a Down, which is weird but cool. The Quarry, that might as well have been a commercial, because that's like, I think that launch trailer was premiered previously and reviews are out for that game. Yeah, sorry, I know I'm kind of rushing a little bit now, but I want to get us through this episode. And there was a lot of stuff.
It's a
Let's
lot
see.
of announcements to
Yeah,
it was definitely like a quantity. I don't even want to say over quality because that's not super fair. It's just when you have that much quantity, it's hard for the quality things to like stick out as much.
yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when Jeff's putting the show together, he's like, I think he wants to include as many people as possible, and you know, for good or bad, it kind of can bloat it out a little bit. I
Yeah.
think if it's only like 40 minutes, people are like, why do we even stop our day to watch this? You rarely showed us anything. And if it's too long with games that not, I mean, not everyone's going to care about every game, so you really, it's tough. It's tough to balance it out,
Yeah.
and not every company wants to give you all their best stuff to show on your show, especially if it's a Sony or a Microsoft or a Nintendo. Like they got their own stuff, so
Yeah, it is an unenviable position to be in,
yeah.
trying to balance that and make it exciting. Although you said Nintendo, and we still have no news about any sort of Nintendo Direct or like announcements from Nintendo for the, E3 quote unquote season, right? Like I didn't miss
Yeah.
anything. There's just
No.
no
Unbelievable.
Nintendo stuff. That's
Though
so weird.
though when they finally do, they'll be like, "Yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow."
Yeah.
And and then everyone will be like, "Oh yes, okay, I'll be there." They
That,
can,
that
6
gap,
a.m.
though.
Pacific time. Hope you're ready.
I
yeah,
mean, pretty soon, just because, and again, another unenviable position is like, if the longer they announce it ahead of time, the more time it gives people to just, shoot for the stars. At some point, they're gonna announce it and be like, this afternoon we're gonna have a Nintendo Direct. Like, it's not even gonna be like a get ready tomorrow kind of thing. Uh, let's see. Nightingale looks like a creepy survival game with fantasy creatures. Uh, be ready to pick up your axe pick, Jeff. I know you're excited about that.
Hansen
Um,
or Kyle, sorry. I called that out too. It was like yeah, it was like axe pick. Do they mean
I think, yeah,
pickaxe?
get excited about that axe pick, I guess.
I like that
I
Hansen has replaced the host word in your brain. It's like a
Uh-huh.
find and replace.
It's gonna take more than 2 weeks to undo that.
all right. Yeah. I think the Saints Row thing was actually pretty cool, where they released like just the player creator, just like put it out there.
I think
They
that's
didn't
so
say as much.
cool.
They didn't say it specifically, but like you can take that character into the final game, right? Like that's
I
Oh
going
yeah,
without
assume.
saying.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
that
would be a
I
terrible
think that
move if you couldn't.
I think it is so smart, and I think that
Yeah.
more games should do this because the thing I hate the most is when I pick up a new game and I know that my first 45 minutes plus are going to be spent in the character creator, and I really just want to play the game,
Mhm.
but I also don't want to just hit random and go. Um, So, like, if you give me the opportunity to front load that and do that ahead of time, like, not only am I going to be really thankful because I can just play the game as soon as it releases, but also, like, I don't know, I might spend some time just, like, making silly ones and then tweeting about it and advertising your game for you through that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, I just think it's brilliant on so many levels, and more games should do that.
I
Yeah.
saw at least one just like perfect Shaggy from Scooby Doo that someone had made.
Already?
Yeah,
Holy
like,
cow.
and it's like that's gonna be the next 2 weeks. It's just people
Yeah.
sharing pictures of their crazy
So
Saints Row
smart.
character.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's.
smart.
I hope
I
it
think I
becomes a
read
trend.
somewhere that you can create up to 6 that you can import. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you can
Cool.
like, oh, I'll try to duplicate myself exactly, and then you can throw in, a Power Ranger, and then
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you can just get that whole mix of kooky stuff going there. It's a great way to do it.
yeah, I think that's really smart. Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide looks cool. It's the follow up to Vermintide. They didn't say equal specifically, but it's kind of like Left 4 Dead. That's like one of the sort of Left 4 Dead games that I feel like World War Z was well received and Vermintide was well received, and then a lot of the other ones were kind of like eh. So that's cool. Layers of Fears plural, which is I guess the third Layers of Fear game. It's not Silent Hill. That was like one of the rumors going around a lot. Is that like there was a new Silent Hill from Team Bloober on the way, or Bloober Team? Excuse me. Let me get that right.
Yeah,
And then
they called that one psychedelic horror, I think. And
yeah,
a lot of the scenes that they showed of it were really strange and interesting, imagery, which I appreciated. It's not just, hey, you're going around a creepy mansion and monsters are going to jump out of the dark. Like it looked, like almost hallucinations, or you're going to different worlds and stuff. And I appreciate a slightly different take on the horror genre like that. That's one I'll be looking out for.
the one
I
the one
read
thing with
somewhere that it was like maybe a reimagining of the first 2 games with like
okay,
some new stuff mixed in, and obviously the fancy Unreal Engine 5 graphics.
so not so much a sequel maybe as much as like borderline remake. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have the full details. Did anyone play like the Layers of Fear games?
No, I played the
Mm-mm.
medium a
I
little
didn't.
bit, and the thing about Bloober Team. Oh, I also played Blair Witch in VR a little, which I thought was cool. Which I thought was okay. Um, Bloober Team. I'm waiting for them to have their big, really exciting runaway hit. I feel like they're gonna have it eventually. Um, but it hasn't happened yet because like they know exactly. I feel like they have a good idea of what they want to do, right? Like they have a really good sort of like idea, but none of the games they made have really fully executed on it yet. Um, was it Observer is supposed to be pretty good, but I only played that one for a few minutes, so I don't know. We'll see if maybe something is going to hit big for them at some point. I just don't know what it is.
If they're one of the first Unreal 5 games to come out, that might give them enough of a spotlight, especially if the Epic Store is like, we'll give you guys good placement up at the top, and I don't know,
Yeah, could be.
might be a good shot.
Yeah. So and then Gotham Knights was shown a little bit, just like some new footage of Nightwing. I'm really excited for Gotham Knights. I'm more excited for Gotham Knights than Suicide Squad, just because I like I like the idea of playing with the Batman family more than I like playing as the Suicide Squad. But we'll see. I don't know. October 25th, and then the big thing to talk about is The Last of Us. That was the last thing, and it was leaked. It was fully leaked this morning. It showed up on the PlayStation Store. It was funny because the temporary text was still describing Spider-Man. So someone must have been
Oh,
like
that's
filling out the
funny.
store and like hit publish by accident before they had swapped out all the text.
Oof.
And so that leaked, the store listing, and then the trailer fully leaked too.
So
And
here's how it happened in the Summer Game Fest, though, which is what was insane to me, is not everyone was on Twitter this morning before before watching this. They didn't get into any of that. They didn't explain like what the leak was or what had happened or what they were talking
are
about.
you talking about
They
Naughty
just
Dog or Sony specifically or Summer Game Fest?
like the everyone involved on stage at that time,
Right. Okay.
Ian Druckmann.
like Yeah, like Neil Druckmann and Jeff Keighley and everything, they basically just started reacting to the fact that it had leaked without providing anyone any context to what the heck they were talking about. And I thought that was so bizarre. I'm like, I was on the internet this morning and I saw this happen, and this is still confusing to me.
Right.
So thank you for front loading that that it leaked,
Sure.
because they did not do that.
Yeah. I mean, the big headline was just that it's like had been rumored for a while. Last of Us 1 remake is happening. It's coming in September. Like 100% of the details were leaked a couple hours before the show went live, and they've renamed it Star Wars, New Hope style. It's called The Last of Us Part 1 now. It's like, okay, cool. All right, sure. And yeah, I I love The Last of Us. I think it's a fantastic game. I'm not eager to replay it now. It just feels so quick to do a remake. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah,
I think this is fully a product of the show is coming. We have a brand new PS5, and we have a team that needs something to do from top to bottom. So it was just like this perfect storm of like, let's just redo it. This is the story we're telling in season 1 of The Last of Us. Um,
I didn't even connect those dots. That's a good point.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they were kind of coy about when the show's going to debut, but that'd be insane if it didn't debut somewhere close to the September game launch. You'd think at the same day would be like perfect media synergy, but even if they had the game come out and then the show was like a month or two later, like that would still be a perfect pairing, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that rationale makes sense to me, at least, but I think just from the consumer perspective, I think at least most people are reacting in kind of the same way. That's like, but we don't need that. Why?
mhm.
You know, we we just played this.
Yeah. But yeah, Brian, you're totally right, because like the sort of Venn diagram of, gamers and HBO viewers, the overlap isn't that big. So like if someone really gets into the Last of Us show and they see The Last of Us on a store shelf, like you're very smart, Brian, is what I'm trying to say. Good job.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think you watch the show and then you're like, "Oh, this is a video game too?" Like,
You're
okay,
right. Yeah.
should I go in the store and like buy the old PS3 copy? Oh, no, no. Oh, there was a PS4, which I can kind of play. But, oh, wait, there's this fancy new one. Ooh, let's do that. I don't know. That's
Ooh.
a remaster then a remake is pretty unprecedented, but I guess I can see why they did it.
Yeah. And they confirmed that they're working on multiple projects, which is interesting. The multiplayer game sounds like to me, the way they were talking about it, it sounds like it's just going to be a new Last of Us game, like maybe Last of Us with a subtitle. But they said it's going to have like a full story. Uh, there's like new characters. I think it takes place in New York, right? Based on the concept, they showed one piece of concept art, and it was New York, wasn't it? No one's
Was
sure.
I
it
Okay.
don't.
was it I don't remember, but I thought I heard someone mention San Francisco.
Was it okay? Maybe it was San Francisco. Okay, there was a big bridge in the background, which I guess was probably the Golden Gate, but I wasn't sure. They were weirdly coy about it. They're like, "Here's some concept art. It's in a new place. Maybe people online have already figured it out." It's like you guys can just say, like, it doesn't have to be a puzzle box or anything. Um, but I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. Like, I'm curious what that is. If it's like going to be a paid product, is it like a $60 game, $70 game that you buy at the store? The Last of Us multiplayer game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Um,
good because Last of Us 2 came out, and there were a lot of the multiplayer fans who were like, "Whoa, why doesn't this have multiplayer? We're used to this with Uncharted and
Yeah, the
Last of
Leo
Us 1."
Vaders of the world were
Yeah,
were disappointed.
which you know, Last of Us 2 was so much game. Like, I can't imagine them trying to like simultaneously develop a compelling multiplayer component. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be better for everyone, I think, when they're fully focused on multiplayer. And this will be good too, because I'm sure they'll wrap up Last of Us remake, go straight, bring everyone over to this multiplayer project, and um, they just got it all going. But
I'll figure it out.
I guess Neil was like, "Oh yeah, we have we can do several more projects at a time now at Naughty Dog." Like he was talking about a new era or something.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 sold 10 million copies apparently, he said. So
Ooh.
they're probably doing pretty well over there. I liked the I guess you could call it joke where he was like, all right, we have some actors from the show, and you just assume it was going to be the 2 stars of the show, and it was Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson confirming that they are going to be in the show at some capacity, more than a cameo, a real character they called it, or real characters plural, which is like
They're not stunt doubles for each other.
yeah,
That
right.
would be pretty. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, which is like I like to see that. Hopefully, it's not too distracting. If I'm watching it with someone, I am gonna have to resist the urge to be like, "Hey, that he played Joel on the game. That guy right there." But it sounds. I don't know. The way they talked about it, it seemed like it was kind of a small role. Maybe they were in one episode for an extended period of time or something. But I thought it was cool. It's nice to see them in there.
I thought it was funny too, the way Jeff Keighley reacted to it. I wasn't sure if he was genuinely surprised and thought the actors for Joel and Ellie were like the ones who were supposed to be there or something. It was
Pedro
it
Pascal.
it took me a second to be like, I think this is a bit. I think he's just doing a bit, but
let's see some other things for the remake. It's all the old performances. They didn't re-record dialogue or redo any motion capture. It's going to be 60 FPS, and the AI has been redone for enemies. I'm curious if anything else is going to be changed or tweaked, or if that's about it. It's just visuals and AI and the frame rate. Like, I don't know if they would adjust the story at all or change anything. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if they did try that. Just in light of like 2 existing, if they just wanted to tweak a little, smooth a little stuff here and there out, but I don't know, it fit together pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the side-by-side shots looked pretty nice. I was like, I remember looking back and thinking that the remaster looked pretty good, but then when they show the new screens, I'm just like, oh yeah, that looks like crap now.
Those side by sides, like, they both looked good is the problem, right? It's like it wasn't this huge leap in technology to me, but I was like,
they almost just look a little different to me, like stylistically different, as opposed to like one being clearly much better than the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell obviously that the new one is better, but it's not such a big leap that I'm like, oh, this is a super nice version of that. It's almost like these are 2 different takes on the same thing.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, what was it, the GTA trilogy? Where it's some characters look a lot different than their original version, right?
Right, yeah. The main characters looked better. All the NPCs didn't look that much better.
I don't want to compare anything to those remakes. That's
Jevon loves those games. He wouldn't shut up about them last year.
I enjoyed them. I played on the Switch, so my expectations were properly set for what we got.
I think they've been doing a lot of work on them still, right? Are they're still?
I think so. Yeah, I haven't checked it out.
There were 2 sort of closing things that really made me raise an eyebrow. One was Keighley saying, hey, Druckmann, you're working on a new project? And he was like, yeah, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And then there was just a real quick dig in there where he was like, hey, if Sony leaks it, maybe we can talk about it. And I was like, oh boy, Druckmann I bet he's pissed.
Yeah.
He didn't really seem like he seemed like he was doing the show out of pure obligation and with no joy to it at that. And I get it. That's probably pretty gutting to be excited to reveal this thing. Yeah, totally.
This was the big last thing, and it was leaked, fully leaked before the thing started. And it was Sony, right? I mean, you can point to someone hit the wrong button on the store and just shattered Neil Druckmann's whole world. And he just, like he said, they feel cursed after sort of the Last of Us 2 leaks and stuff like that. It's gotta be frustrating.
I'm sure, but at the same time, it's like maybe it's time to log off of social media for a while and resituate yourself, because they could have just come out and done it like it was a normal announcement. And as Kelsey said, all the people who weren't on Twitter that morning were still going to be surprised by what they saw. it felt like a very weird approach to it, like almost this meta approach of like, oh, we got to acknowledge that all this was out there, and we have nothing valuable to share anymore because people have seen it all. It's like, I didn't see it. I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah.
weren't logged in, aren't always plugged in. You can just do the show and have smile while you're showing off your game for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, were you surprised by it, Jeffem?
Right before we started recording, someone mentioned that, like, that the A Last of Us remake leaked or whatever, and so
Okay.
that was about all I knew. But yes, I was very confused during that entire segment of like, just tell me what it is. It says The Last of Us behind you. Like, why are you guys talking so much more about the leak and not just saying, hey, it's a from the ground up thing for the PS5? Like, just give us the spiel.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could have just started with the trailer because all that stuff was in the trailer. But the sort of other eyebrow raiser for me was because I guess it was yesterday, maybe E3 said, we'll be back next year. And then for right at the end, Keeley said for Summer Game Fest, we'll be back and in person next year. Which maybe I'm reading too much into it, but just felt like the slightest kind of dig of like, oh, you're gonna do E3 again? I'm gonna do this again, But like I said, maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Yeah, we'll see if E3 comes back next year.
yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, won't hold our breath for that. Do you guys quickly want to talk about there was 2 non-Summer Game Fest things? Kelsey, tell me about trying to buy Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition. I tried and failed.
So,
I didn't even
yeah.
get close.
So Nintendo was doing a Nintendo Store exclusive, by which I mean like you need to be logged into your My Nintendo account, kind of like buying the Super Nintendo controllers for Switch Online or whatever. You had to be logged in to purchase this special edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's one of my favorite series. I'm very excited for this game, and Nintendo is just not they're not technologically set up for doing stuff like this, so their site just immediately crashed, and for hours and hours, no one was able to get any through. The website was just kind of going up and down, and throughout all of this, the really frustrating part to me, because I get it to an extent that, like, you just might not be anticipating the traffic and things are breaking or whatever. Um, I was at this off and on while I was working for 9 hours yesterday, and
Having it running
without
in the background.
any update from Nintendo. Like, at the beginning, they were like, "Oh, some people are experiencing problems. Sorry, hang tight." But
And by
that's all
some
we got.
people, of course, it was literally
It was
everybody.
literally everybody. And then, I mean, it was all day until we got any communication that was just like, we're gonna just do this again some other time. And it's like, luckily I'm already at my computer all day and it could have just been kind of tabbing over and refreshing, but I knew a lot of people that were like, taking their breaks, their lunch breaks and trying to do it, and like people took real time out of their day to get the stupid thing with no communication. It was real disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know. A couple of people, it sounds like, were able to get theirs through. If you were
Okay.
able to add it to your cart early on in the day, then there was like some weird workarounds later in the day where you could actually get through to your cart. But
Yeah,
it
so
seems like not a whole lot of people got through.
Wario64 shared that if you search for it and then the autofill showed it, you could add it to your favorites list.
I
And then you
tried
could
all of the tricks.
I couldn't get any of that to work. None of that
Yeah,
worked.
I tried every trick and I tried it in 3 different browsers and no dice. So that was bad. I
That
mean,
was frustrating.
Nintendo's pretty bad at handling rollouts of popular products like that. That was no exception.
Yeah. Brian, can you tell me a little bit about the Vampire Survivors update? I haven't been able to touch it yet, but I think it released this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, it just went live today. There's a little bit short beta period, but I fiddled around with it a little bit, and God, the game just keeps getting better and better. New weapons, characters. That's the thing is there's the kind of list of objectives and achievements of like cool stuff you can play around with. New level. Um, and then even after you kind of get through some of that, there's always the like little like the secret characters and the secret stuff you can do that's just another layer to dive into. And even if you've, played everything before, they just update it so frequently that just when you get out, they just keep pulling you back in, and everything just works so well with the characters and the balance that's already there, or imbalance if you tweak it a certain way. Um, I cannot speak well enough about Vampire Survivors overall, and the new update is great.
Did
And
they?
I can't wait to play it more. But I know people are sensitive to kind of spoiling new things to play in that game, so I don't want to get too in depth.
Did they update like the animation on the characters or something? Or did I was I thought I saw a tweet about that or something, but maybe I just misread it. Did the characters look different? Like even the standard characters that you typically use?
Yeah, I think they did some tweaks on different sprites. Um, I know like the look of the knives. I'm like, oh, the icon for that is different. Like you just notice things here and there. I'm like, part of you thinks like, am I going crazy? Did I was it always like this? And then you're like, no, no, the knives had this thing on them, and and I think some of the characters were tweaked a little bit as well.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's just kind of across the board, all kinds of fun new stuff to play around with and discover.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look at that tonight. I'm excited. I'm totally. That's like the perfect Steam Deck game. That's like my Steam Deck is a Vampire Survivors machine at this point. So I'm excited to check that out. Hey, Jeff Mark Yafava, do you know how this whole thing operates even when Ben's lost in the woods?
By supporters on patreon.com/minmax, of course.
Oh my gosh. You nailed it, man. You totally nailed it. And this week we are supported by I Am 8-Bit. They've been longtime supporters of MinnMax, which is fantastic. We always appreciate that. They have Dustbiters, the second edition, which is a quick and furious tabletop card game. Ben Hansen loves that game. He won't shut up about it. And they have they have the second edition. Comes with full color premium 21 card deck and a deluxe box, which is nice. And the game is developed by video game industry veterans Jen Willem Nijman, Terry Velman, and Robbie Frazier. And this is a quote from Ben Hansen. He said, Dustbiters is my favorite two-player tabletop game. Hand to God, somebody at my wedding came up to me and thanked me so much for recommending it because it rules. That's a quote
Nice.
that Ben Hansen sent me to share. And then Tim Schafer said about it, the founder of Double Fine Productions, I didn't make this game, but I played it and I love it. So
There
I
you
don't know what
go.
else I need to tell you here. Of course, we have a promo code at imapeit.com. You get 10% off everything under $100. That promo code is Junebug, no spaces, JUNEBUG. And as you guys know, we are going to read a bunch of questions, and you guys are going to help me pick a question of the week. It's very important. I went through this spiel last week. I know we always pay lip service to Hansen, and we're like, yeah, we'll help
Yeah.
you with that. You're actually really, truly going to
Okay.
help me with this because I'm new to this. This is only the 2nd
We'll
time
do
I've
the
done
work. We'll do the work with you, Kyle. We won't
Yes.
just leave it like we always do with
Don't
Hansen.
leave it entirely up to me. But if you win question of the week, you get a vinyl of the Tell Me Why soundtrack. So there you go. All right, guys, let's get to it. Community questions. Oh man, Summer Game Fest. You guys feeling it? It was good, right? Good show.
Great.
I'm just
big
trying to
run-
take a breath. I feel like I'm going very fast.
The big rundown. Just ask us a very deep question. You'll get a little bit of a break.
There we
Yeah.
go.
You know, I listen to this podcast and all podcasts at like 1.25 or 1.5 speed. So everyone
How
sounds
could
really
you?
slow to me every time I'm actually on the show.
You should listen to it slower so that we all sound a little drunk. That's the trick. Makes it funnier. Okay, let's see. From Ben Shively here, what are some games that you would most want to have a true director's cut of, including cut content, commentary, and behind the scenes on the development? I'd have to pick BioShock Infinite to see the original version Ken Levine had. Yeah, any director's cuts of games that you want. Not like a Death Stranding director's cut that just adds content, but like, shows the development, maybe commentaries, stuff like that. I would love it'll never happen in a million years, but I would love to see some of that stuff for like a Playdead game, like Inside or Limbo, like just like how that development process came together, how it worked. But they'll never share that. Those are all industry secrets that they'll all die with.
I think I would go with I don't know. The first thing that jumped to mind for me was Super Metroid, and I think I got the idea from Metroid like Zero Mission, because they had that whole like extra add-on Zero Suit Samus part for the first Metroid game. And I would love to see if there was like a scrapped planet or boss and just have a whole new branch of the game, or add on to the end like they did. And then obviously like getting all the inspiration for how they came up with everything, and the music and sound design. It'd be awesome.
I think we're
Elsie, you're
just so
working on this kind
starved
of
for
right?
Nintendo stuff in general. Like it's not none of it will ever happen, but it would like
No,
a
don't say
director's cut
that.
of pretty much any Nintendo game would be fascinating. I think one that like definitely has interesting stories to it, which we know because of like prototypes that have been found, is Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Right. Yeah.
And we also know that like, the story of Iwata kind of jumping in and saving the day and being able to kind of maximize the space on the cartridge and fitting in even more stuff into it. And there's like a ton of scrapped Pokemon and just all kinds of weird stuff went into the development of those two games. So I think that one is like we know there's interesting stories there. It would be cool to get some of that.
Yeah, that's a good one because a little bit of that stuff is out there, which makes that one
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a bit of a lame answer considering I am no one will shut up about Elden Ring, but I feel like Elden Ring would be an interesting one because we know that there's been content cut from it, and we know that there have been YouTube videos showing them like, oh, this boss was actually, like kind of a remix of a boss that was like never used in Dark Souls 3, and it was kind of buried in the code, but it never got used in that game, and they took it out and put it in this one. That kind of stuff would be interesting, and I suspect it might also be a little disillusioning to hear Miyazaki talk about it and be like, yeah, I don't know, like we wanted to make this part extra hard, or like I bet a lot of that is probably they've made so many of those games that it would probably just be like, yeah, I don't we had like 1,000 different enemy designs here, so we put this one in there, whatever, like probably it's
Like,
probably just old
I like
hat
how
for them.
I like how your Miyazaki is very flippant about making video games.
Yeah,
He's like,
well,
yeah, I don't know, whatever. We draw some monsters, we throw them in there, we make it work.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
before
okay.
before we go too far,
Oh,
wasn't
please.
Knights of the Old Republic 2 famously like had a lot of stuff cut out of it?
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be
supposedly, like it didn't have the ending, and then fans went and like partially restored it. I think is
yeah.
kind of what they were
Hmm.
working on or something like
It'd be cool to get like an official restoration of that. I guess if they're
that. Yeah.
remaking KOTOR 1, maybe if that does well, like they can give KOTOR 2 its due.
Yeah, I think that came out on like Switch today, maybe even, or this week, or it's coming very soon. But KOTOR 2, that would have been a great opportunity to restore some of that stuff. But I know it's not that simple to just, hey,
Well,
let's throw in all that stuff we cut out.
well, the KOTOR Switch is like a direct port of the original game, but
Yeah.
there's a fancy remake of KOTOR 1, right? Coming?
Yes. Yeah. What? But I'm saying KOTOR 2 specifically, I think came
Oh,
out
okay.
this week. Yeah,
Sure,
but it's
sure,
just a
sure.
port of the original version. No added content. And as far as I'm
Sure.
aware, maybe they're there. I don't know. Chris Logan says, hello, nuts. So that he wrote. Congrats on running the asylum. Here's the good news. You have access to any video game you desire free of charge. The bad news, you must choose between every game that's ever been released up through today or every game that will be released after today. Once you choose a category, you will never be able to play a game in the other group. Which do you choose?
Well, here's the thing,
Oh.
Kyle.
This is a very easy answer for me.
Are we counting? Do remasters and remakes exist in this future group?
Ooh,
I'm going to say no for the purpose
Okay,
of this Would You Rather. I'm going to say no.
I still pick
trying to
all
find a
future
loophole.
games. Yeah,
Yeah, future
Ooh.
games. They're like 100%.
I don't know, maybe I don't know. I think I might be boring and in the minority, but like I know that I'm super behind on hundreds of games that are probably incredible that I would love to go back and play and have time to play.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
technically the future's uncertain,
you could that is true.
right?
We could all die tomorrow.
Well, they could. Every video game released from here on out could be terrible. We have no proof that's not the case.
It is possible, and you could
It's
definitely
very unlikely, but
you
you know.
yeah, you could play video games for the rest of your life just from all the games that are already out that you haven't played before. So
Yeah, but like you'd play God of War, the 2018 version, you never get to see what happens. That's it. That's all you get.
Oh no,
Sorry.
I only have like 100,000 other video games to play.
yeah,
I'm too interested in the sort of future innovations and what future video games look like too much to not be able to see that. That would
yeah,
drive me
but
insane.
wouldn't it be terrible, Kyle, if we both did the Thanos snap and then we realized, wow, like all future games are just free to play metaverse trash, like Fortnite
No.
crossover?
I
What
didn't
if
even
we
consider
snap our
that.
fingers, Kyle, and it's just Fortnite at that point? We'll know we're headed for a dark future.
I guess that's I didn't think this through.
It's a tough question, and we didn't really get, we get to look at part of these questions ahead of time. So I was went into it like, okay, here's my plan. I'm going because do you get them all for free? Is that what the thing is?
Yes, that's part of it. Yeah, free of charge.
Okay. So I was originally gonna say like, okay, I'm going to just do the future games because I don't know if I read it wrong or something, but I was like, it was more of a finance question because I was like, oh, I can just play everything new that ever comes out. It's gonna be awesome. And then
That's a good
the
point,
older
yeah.
games get, the cheaper they get until they get to a certain age, Kelsey, when they're kind of across your desk when they become like revaluable again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
but
they're that old enough and rare enough.
but we're in an asylum, so I don't think money's an object. Anyway, right? You said something about an asylum?
No, that was just a greeting. Congrats on
okay.
winning the asylum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally misread the preview of the question, and that was my incorrect answer that disregards all the current rules that came up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'll take the blame for that. I'm sorry. So what did I wrote? Oh, I said, do you want every game that has ever existed or every game that will exist? Which I guess is kind of different than the full question from Chris Logan. So sorry, Brian.
Yeah, I guess on the flip side, if you took every game that ever existed, then you could sell some of like the really choice stuff, and really make
I didn't
tons
know we
of
were
millions
Yeah.
of
factoring in
dollars.
resales here.
Yeah, no, that's a whole different angle. This is I
Yeah,
was just
if
thinking of
we're just
playing for
talking about
fun.
putting them in my store, like I'll take every game that's ever existed because I could
Yeah,
sell
that's a
those
good
right
point.
now. That's yeah.
Oh yeah, you could auction them, millions for, and they would all be complete in box, perfect.
Yeah, are they all sealed? Do
Wait,
we know if
so-
all these games are arriving brand new?
Hold on a minute. So
Totally different question.
when we say all games in the future that are coming out, do we get them all at once, or do we have to wait for each one to come out? I was
Ooh.
assuming like you turn on your
You have to
Magic
wait,
console and it would have every game from the future
That's
for
a
like
new
thousands
Chris
of
Logan,
years.
you gotta write back in and clarify some of these questions that we have.
All
We are
kinds
too
of
dumb
problems.
to comprehend.
I just assumed it would be. My perception was that it was like you can either have access to all the games, from yesterday or from tomorrow forward, and it would be like normal release schedule.
Oh, so I gotta wait. I gotta just play like the crap that comes out on Steam until a big game comes out?
Yeah, so like tomorrow for like the next 2 weeks would be rough.
Ugh.
Until some big new game comes out.
I would have to play a lot of Shredder's Revenge, I think.
Yeah.
Since that's
Yeah, so
coming
you
out
wouldn't.
soon.
Yeah. So you'd have to hold out for Shredder's Revenge, and then you could just keep playing that for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron Hurd asks, I'm hearing a lot of people refer to the next Dragon Age as Dragon Age 4 or the next Mass Effect as Mass Effect 5. Am I crazy for thinking that they would be called Dragon Age 3 and Mass Effect 4 if their title had a number? In my mind, you can't have Mass Effect 5 until there is a game called Mass Effect 4, even though Andromeda was the fourth game in the series, and similarly enough, even though Dragon Age Inquisition was the third in the series. It seems too weird to skip a number. Please discuss whether I am a weirdo.
Well, I think it only matters if they're spin-offs. I mean, I agree that the naming conventions suck. I mean, we just had Goat Simulator 3 announced with no Goat Simulator 2.
That changed all the rules. I
That
mean,
changed
honestly.
all the rules. But I feel like if you think Andromeda is a spin-off, which it's not, right? It is like a mainline Mass Effect, or is it a
I
spin-off?
think you can make a retroactive argument that it's a spin-off, right? Like if it had been a hit,
Okay.
they would have been like, no, mainline. But now that it wasn't, they can kind of be like, oh, we don't talk about Andromeda. It's fine. But I mean, it fits into the canon, right? Like it is canonical to after taking place after Mass Effect 3. It just doesn't interact with that main storyline at all.
Then it's 4. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't call the next one 5 at that
Well, I
point.
think that's the question. Would it be weird if the next Mass Effect, was just called Mass Effect 5?
Yeah,
or
that
should
would
they
be
call
weird.
it 4? They should call it 4?
No, they shouldn't call it 4. They should just stop using numbers. They've already thrown out the number thing.
Right. The Assassin's Creed approach.
Yeah.
They're done with numbers.
Yeah, they had to be done with numbers.
But man, yeah, what is the market like? What's the better marketing? Like massive, if they wanted to put a number on there, I feel like it should be called 4, but it shouldn't be. I don't know. It does feel weird. I don't know.
Yeah, my guess is they would do like Mass Effect, um, uh, Space Lords, and then the next one would be Mass Effect Space Lords 2, and then so it'd be like a new trilogy. So you'd start the numbers over again. Because it seems like if it's been long enough, companies just want to start over. Like God of War 2018 was just that. So maybe they'll even just start
God of
over with
War.
just Mass Effect by itself.
Ugh, I hate this trend.
Yeah.
It's confusing as
This
heck.
has to stop.
By the
The
way,
Modern Warfare
Brian,
2 thing again.
yeah, I hate to be the one to deliver this news, Brian, but there is a game called Space Lords from the creators of Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Mercury's team. They have a game called Space Lords.
Space Lords of Shadow?
No,
Is that the full name?
Oh my god, I have never connected those dots. That's so funny. You're so smart, Brian. I'm so glad you're here. Here's an important question that Ben Hansen asks us a lot, but now we can answer it without him around. Is Ben Hansen nuts?
That depends on how much
We're all
work
too
he's
polite
doing
to
on his
say.
honeymoon right now.
You guys put thumbs on this one. I was like, I'm going to avoid it.
The thing, maybe this is the first time you're listening to this podcast. Ben Hansen often asks the question, "Am I nuts?" Like all the time. He's like, if when he'll ask a question and we all sit there with a big pregnant pause and we don't say anything, he's like Michael Keaton in Batman. He's like, "Am I nuts?"
It's
Yes.
like
The answer is
opinion
yes.
followed by "Am I nuts?"
Yeah.
But usually his opinions
He
are
is.
not nuts, so I don't.
But
Is it
if
nuts
you
to just continue asking that if you're nuts when you
yeah,
present like
I feel
fairly
like there's a
normal, benign opinions?
I feel like there's a threshold where if you've asked "Am I nuts?" that many times, and I'm pretty sure Hansen's over that threshold, whatever the number
I'm starting
is.
to
Oh
believe
yeah,
he
big
might
time.
be.
Oh, he is 100%. That was Victor Pham asking that very point. I don't know if I attributed it correctly. Alan Long asks, "What open world has the best activities? Do you enjoy playing cards in Red Dead Redemption, playing Gwent in The Witcher, tennis in GTA 5?"
Yakuza.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
It's a great
A lot of
answer.
variety there.
I remember disliking a lot of Spider-Man stuff. But I
The
did
recent one, Insomniac one?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I sure enjoyed all the benefits it provided and upgrades.
Yeah, gosh. Are there any open world activities that are like more fun to just to do them on their own without reward, or does there have to be some kind of reward?
I know they get a lot of crap, but I like going to towers and climbing up on them and seeing more of the map.
Yeah, I was always kind of surprised by that negativity. I guess because you do it a lot in Ubisoft games, so it's like
Yeah.
frequent. But like Far Cry 3, I always was excited to come across a tower and get to the top of it.
I liked seeing that new chunk of the map. I mean, what's the alternative is you just see the whole map from the start? Or
Yeah, I don't know. Climbing, good. More climbing.
I don't know.
We don't dislike it. All
I
right.
think
This is
Kelsey had the right answer though. I think it's Yakuza.
Yakuza. Yeah.
I'm
that's-
obligated to say Yakuza because every time I play a Yakuza game, I get to the mahjong and then I just play mahjong until I stop playing the Yakuza game. And so
you just never finished it.
I don't know what those rules are and how the game works.
that's part of the reason I like it because they actually do a better job of explaining how to play mahjong and like giving you the list of all the different ways to score than most. Like there aren't a lot of if you try and find mahjong video games, it's always like the solitaire matching one that moms play.
Mm.
And this is one of like the best versions of you can play against AI opponents and kind of learn the rules if you don't know it. So
Cool. I'm surprised they put so much effort into it, but
Mhm.
it seems like they take a lot of care
Yeah.
into everything that goes into those games.
Well, that's why it's. I mean, for Kelsey, that's why it's such a good answer because like all the mini games in Yakuza are pretty fleshed out and interesting. Okay, here's a good question for after having just watched Summer Game Fest. Joel Halaska asks, "What do you guys think about lengthy 5 to 10 minute gameplay demos during E3 style showcases? I'm talking about where you have a string of 2 or 3 minute trailers and the whole show stops so you can watch someone play a portion of a game uninterrupted for a period of time. Do you prefer the mid-show deep dives, or would you rather maintain a snappy series of trailers and save deep dives for separate videos or things like Nintendo Treehouse Live segments?"
I'm snappy all the way.
Yeah.
Like I can later decide if I am interested in learning more about a game, but it's gonna sound negative, but it's like it's almost presumptuous to be like, yeah, you're gonna want to see this. You're gonna want to
Right.
see 10 minutes of this. I'm like, well, it might just not be my kind of game, and I want to see what else is coming up. Come on, like I can look at this later.
I mean, yeah, as impressed as I was with how good Call of Duty looked at the Summer Game Fest, I was like, we could have stopped this like 8 minutes ago. I would have gotten the same amount of joy and interest out of it. So yeah, I'm
yeah.
with you.
Like I said, we ended up talking about the title of Modern Warfare for a long time during that demo. And like the chat exploded just talking about all the different puns they could come up with for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare Too Many, whatever. So I think shorter is better, but I would add a reservation for Uncharted and Last of Us games. I always like those. Those demos always blow my
The
socks
Naughty
off.
Dog
So
ones are
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Always torn because I don't, especially well, if I have to report on a game, like back in the day when I was a Game Informer, uh, I like having those extra details, but you know, it's also nice to go to a separate appointment and see a longer thing, be able to write that up. But now, on the other side, if it's a game I know I'm gonna like, I don't want to see a level or a
Mm,
chunk and see what happens because like I want to play that. I just want to see it fresh.
that's
I
true.
saw a lot of Last of Us 2 stuff I stayed away from somehow for especially after all the leaks and everything. I was really happy to be able to just play that really fresh and not know a lot of things that were going to happen, which I don't know how I dodged all those bullets, but it was fun to do. And
Yeah.
that's how I like it.
And that's how Brian likes it.
I feel like with trailers, if you jump around enough, you're gonna forget the overall vibe.
Yeah.
But there's some bad trailers out there for even like movies where I just feel like that ambulance movie. I feel like I just know the entire plot of this movie. I don't need to see it.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, I'm with it. I don't like that either.
Whereas if you guys have seen the trailer for Nope, it's like I have no idea what's going on in that movie at all, and that's great.
Yeah,
It's the new Jordan Peele.
there's a new trailer today that I actually was like, I don't think I'm gonna watch that new one. I think I'm good. I think I'm just gonna stick with those terrifying first two or whatever, the one or two that were creepy and weird. That movie looks interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Sam Kennedy. Hello, all. I was recently listening to an episode of the Video Game History Hour about the Neo Geo, and the consensus was that it was the rich kid console of that generation. It seemed only the very wealthy kids had one. When you were growing up, what was the rich kid console? I had a neighbor who had a 3DO,
Whoa.
which was kind of mind blowing, but none of the games were very good. It's like we ended up just playing Mario Kart and stuff, but he had a system that you could throw a disc in there, and like remember he had like a demo disc that had like a 5 minute like 5 minutes of an episode of Batman the Animated Series. It was like pre-DVD, you know, and we were just like blown away by that. But they were like, "Wow, all right, let's go back to Mario Kart."
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing, right? Because like the rich kids can get those superfluous consoles like the Jaguar or whatever that they just didn't make a lot of games for because not enough people had the money to buy them in the first place, and so they were always kind of mediocre. But yeah, I remember the 3DO and the Jaguar too.
Yeah, Jaguar is a good one. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
anyone.
the TurboGrafx was
Yeah.
like had I think enough quality games to be both like the rich kid console and actually kind of interesting. Like it did look significantly better than like an NES.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I knew any kids who owned those, but I always saw them in the store, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, play it out, try it out, do some demos. It was always just very strictly like some Nintendo console or a Sega console, and then of course, when PlayStation and Xbox got in the mix. But those rich kid consoles were only a thing in the store that I can't even imagine anyone having at home because they were
Right.
so advanced.
I don't
Um,
think for my generation, I don't think there really was one. I think a lot of that kind of rich kid console was like past like the early to mid 90s.
Mhm.
That kind of stopped being a thing. Am I crazy? Is there am I nuts? Excuse me.
Thank you for getting that question.
Yeah, thank you. Um I don't I feel like the rich kids just had really good PCs by like the late 90s. It was just kind of like really good PCs.
Would you say maybe the launch PS3 was a rich kid console?
Yeah, that's fair.
Five
That's
hundred
fair.
ninety-nine US dollars.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's see. Zachary Brown. This isn't a question. This is just to inflate Leo's ego, that egotistical. He's so full of himself, that Leo Vader. Zachary Brown asked, last week Kyle struggled to remember the name Jedi Fallen Order for a second or two. I just wanted to say that I will never forget the name of that game, and for one reason. Leo's best joke from E3 Kings. Dude, you're about to be Jedi fallen over if you can't tie your own frickin' shoes. That joke is burned into my skull. Thanks. If you're
Did
not
he?
familiar with that, it was commentary on one of EA's press conferences, and someone on stage had their shoe untied, and Leo went after that shoe with
Nice.
his sharp wit. It was very good. So I'll try to remember that now and not forget the name. Although now I have to remember a new name, which is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We're
Yes.
all confident. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'm very excited for that game, by the way.
Yes, totally. Me too. Yeah, I like Fallen Order a lot. I'm excited for Jedi Survivor for sure.
I don't know if any of you watched the Obi-Wan show, but there might be some stuff if you're keeping up on it, some Fallen Order type of business.
Okay.
I won't spoil anything, but it's kind of neat to see.
I haven't watched the most recent episode. I'm one episode behind, so that must be what you're referencing there. I like this question a lot. Darkfish Days asks, what game do you think has the highest ratio of people watching gameplay over playing the game? So the question is like, what has been watched more than it has been actually played?
It's ratio versus instead of total hours, right?
Right.
So it's not a
Yeah.
popularity
Yeah.
contest. It's like way more people watch than play. What do you think? Maybe like I feel like Until Dawn is very much like I want to see how people play
Mm.
this versus necessarily going through it myself a bunch of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Go
most
on.
games that are really big, like on Twitch, are also very popular games. Like, yeah, Fortnite is watched just all the time, constantly or whatever, but like it's also incredibly
Yeah.
popular, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be like I mean, I would almost say something like a Souls game of some sort because there's a lot of people just watching that content and then being like, but I'm not good enough to play these games. But again, they're also still very popular. So I don't
That's
think the
good.
ratio quite works there.
Yeah. Joshua Caleb in the comments right now says Desert Bus.
Oh, that's it.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
We've all
Yeah,
seen
that's
it.
Yeah, that's
probably it.
it.
Yeah,
he's smarter than all of us.
They did it.
he
I,
did
I
it.
was the one I was gonna say was Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of in that zone
Mm,
of Desert Bus, but I think that's the
Yeah,
best.
it's
yeah.
like by far too,
Yeah.
probably. That's it.
Who said that? Jeff, do you remember the name, or did I
Joshua
already just screw it up?
Caleb,
You did it, Joshua Caleb.
75. Did it.
Let's see. Okay, let's see. Keese or Kess, and then it says Case in like quotes. Mulder. Well, here actually, before we start this, have any of you guys watched the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie? Have you guys seen this?
No.
Yes, I have.
Want to?
Okay, you know what? We'll skip that one.
My daughter won't let me. She's like,
It's so
we're gonna
good.
watch. We're gonna watch more Bluey instead of this cartoon. I don't know.
No, it's so good. Even if you don't watch the show, highly recommend it. Okay, let's see. All right, Andy Wera asks, with E3 just being announced to be back next year, do you think it will truly be? Will it come back this time? Will it truly be back? Also, do you think developers will return or continue to do their own shows or events like the Summer Games Show instead? So it's
I the
basic.
only
Yeah.
I didn't treat that as an announcement, like a real announcement. I feel like they're just kind of saying that, like, yes, it'll be back so that people don't keep writing that it's gone forever. Does
Right.
that make sense? Like there's not plans yet for it, but they just want people to stop saying it's gone forever, so they're saying it's back.
I mean, I want it to be back in the sense that I would like one place for everything to be happening once a year. And maybe Keeley figures does it better and that's where it is, and that's great. I do miss that one, 1 or 2 week period in June where it's like this is the video game time. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it's getting spread out and kind of thinned out, and it's not as fun that way.
It's so
I,
nice to be able to see
Yeah.
like the big hardware manufacturers too, just like go one
Yeah.
on one and like, all right, they're playing a game of chicken, like whose conference is going first, who's gonna put the stake in the ground, and how are we gonna reply, like see like what people love and hate about what they said, and we'll just improve it in every way. Like it's a juicy time. I like to see it, but yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
when it's all spaced out, it's just not as fun.
I think even if they try and bring it back, that's the thing that we all want it to be is still not going to happen. I think like Microsoft and
Sure.
Sony are probably checked out and saying, "Hey, we'll do our own conference when we want to and when we have the stuff ready and we won't have to pay, someone else to do it exorbitant amounts to go show it off somewhere when we can just control the entire message ourselves." And the ESA, I think, would have to work really hard to get all three of those companies back under the same tent. And I don't have much confidence that they would put in the effort or that they would be able to make, a strong enough case to them to get them all back. But I'd like to see it, certainly.
It's like the hybrid, like the remote working situation. Like it's proven that it's done and it's highly effective. So why would any of these companies want to like pay to be back on a show floor and go through
Yeah.
all that expense and hassle and staffing?
I mean, I was just making fun of Activision earlier for spending all that money to just like announce the game. And
that is true. They're still doing it.
yeah, and that's all E3 is. It's like you walk around the show floor, and not all it is. Obviously, there's more to it than that. But you can't help but walk around and be like, this feels excessive. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad I'm here. It's all for me, but it's excessive, you
Yeah.
guys. You really didn't have to do all this. And the last few years have proved that in fact, they did not have to do all that. So, but they should though, right? You
They
guys,
should.
let's just convince them that it was a good idea.
For our benefit, for our fun.
Yeah, do it for me. If not for yourself, then for Kyle. Let's see. Hunter Sachs asks, in 2019, I tried to play Sekiro, and it straight broke me. Rage quit so bad, I just fully gave up. After time passed, and I also spent time learning anger and stress management for many reasons, I came back to Sekiro. Not only have I beaten it now, I have the platinum. It ended up being a big emotional experience for me, remembering to remember my anger and to let it go. Has a game ever actually told you something about yourself? Sorry, that got a little muddy. but hopefully the question came through. Has a game ever told you something about yourself?
That's such a good question, and I feel bad that I don't have an immediate answer for it. Like, surely yes, right? But
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's
I've
specific.
shared my example, but when I played GTA San Andreas, I think it was, as a teenager, they had horse betting in the game, and I thought I came up with like a killer, like one of those betting systems that I'm just never gonna lose, and which was basically just to bet to bet more on the next race to cover the losses from the last one because I had so much money at that point. I had like $16 million, so it was like, well, I'm always going to be able to make it up the next one, and then I learned that eventually it will get to an like an amount that I don't have very, very fast, and I lost all my money in that game, and I was like, I should never bet in real life, and I've
you
stuck
learned that
to
you have a
it.
gambling problem?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
That's good. That's good information.
It's a
I'm really
good way
glad
to
a game
learn it.
taught you that.
Yeah, it's a good way to learn it because then I just immediately reset the game and it didn't save and I had all my money back. So, but you
Whew.
can't do
Good
that in a
life, baby.
casino.
Yeah, that was a good environment to try that out,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Turns out betting systems don't work. Who knew?
No, I went to I snore really badly. This I swear this has a point. I snore really badly, and I was talking to a doctor about it and how we could address it so that my wife could get some sleep. And he gave me this medication, and he said one of the this is common knowledge, but one of the side effects was like you might start gambling. And he was like, "Let me know if you start having a gambling problem as a result of this medication." And I was like, "Medication can
Wow.
do that? That is
This makes you like impulsive or like risk more
I
into
guess
taking
so.
risks or something? Wow.
Yeah, which
And
is
are
I had just never heard of that.
well, don't tell the casinos, Kyle. They'll be putting it in your drinks.
They just sell it like Skittles at the front of the place.
I mean,
Oh,
mobile games have taught me that I am far more comfortable spending $5 at a time than I'd like to think I am.
oh sure, yeah.
So I don't have any like real specific examples, but I definitely spent a little bit too much on like Pokemon Go and on the Animal Crossing game, and nothing like debilitating, but like when I added it up, I was like, that's too much. I should probably stop playing mobile games with like
Yeah.
gotcha elements to them.
That's right, smart.
That's true. I know, Kyle, you're familiar with the way drums work,
I
uh,
am.
as a drummer. I think I don't know. It popped into my head. I I'm sure there's a much more interesting answer, but I didn't really understand how people could do drums until Rock Band came around and slowly over time taught me how to kind of walk and chew gum at the same time with all that stuff. So
That's
I
cool.
don't know. Ended up being like somewhat of a skill. It's not like I'm, drumming in a punk band on the weekends or anything, but it was just an interesting thing to kind of learn later in life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, which is like I'm sure it's been said before, but like that's the thing about playing drums in rock band. It's like if you're good at rock band guitar, it does not translate to being a good guitarist necessarily. But like when you're playing rock band drums, like it's functionally the way drums work. It's just a matter of getting all your limbs to sort of separate and do their own thing individually. So yeah, Brian, we put you behind a drum set, you'd probably do just fine, I'm sure.
Oh. Better than I would have before.
But yeah. Tony the Swordsman asks, do you prefer a vocal protagonist in a game or a mute one?
That
Both.
Vocal.
entirely depends on the type of story, I think. Like,
I don't know that I've ever played a game and finished it or reflected on it and been like, I'm glad that character didn't talk. You know? Like I
mm,
think I would even like games I adore, like Zelda. Like I don't think it benefits a huge amount by Link being silent necessarily. But then, then they give me a Zelda where he talks a lot, and I'm like, nope, this is a bad idea. But I like vocal protagonists. I like someone to talk to.
Yeah, like Chrono Trigger is probably one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm still like, I mean, he could have talked. Every Chrono could have said stuff. Yeah, I lean towards the vocal. I mean, not like overly vocal, but like there's no other, very few like movies or shows. The main character just like doesn't say anything or communicate in any way. So
Yeah.
I think it's like some false sense of immersion that they used to have in game design, where like, you'll think it's you. You're the guy in the blue jumpsuit with the spiky orange hair, uh, because he doesn't say anything. Like it didn't never made any sense to me, that logic.
Really relevant, super relevant question here from Tony the Swordsman. What is the best real animal talking movie?
So like they take a real a real animal and they make the mouth go blah 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 instead of
Yeah.
it being like CG.
Yeah, like Zootopia, fantastic movie. Doesn't count. Those are, anthropomorphic animals. Guys, the answer is
I,
Babe.
I was thinking Babe.
I'm ashamed I've never seen those movies.
I would show them to your kid. No, wait on the second one, but the first one you should show to your kid. Second one's weirdly dark.
Okay.
Can we name other ones besides Babe that fit like that narrow definition?
What
Milo
was
and
that
Otis.
one? Yeah, well, there's before they started CGIing the mouths. Was that the Great Journey or Great Adventure? Michael J. Fox voiced a dog. We all remember it fondly.
A lot of dog talking movies, I think, and I feel like it's because I learned this as a child. Like they put peanut butter in their mouths and make them open and close their mouths a lot. So it looks like it might just be like an easy animal to make pretend talk, and
Yeah.
that's why they do that. But I feel like there's a lot of dog
trainable
ones
too, right? Yeah. All right, let's finish this out with a quiz. We always got to finish with a quiz, right? So Mitch prepared this quiz for us. It's time for America's favorite podcast game show, the Great Goatee Edition Hunt. Below is a list of games. Please answer the question. Do the following games have a Game of the Year re-release that came sometime after the original print? It needs to have the words Game of the Year in the title of the re-release. Anything along the lines of definitive or ultimate does not count. Okay.
That's going to be tricky.
Impossible.
Yeah, so Brian, God of War 2018, specifically the recent one, did that have a Game of the Year edition?
Yes.
Are you asking one of us?
Oh, I said Brian. Did it?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I was asking Brian. And it didn't. Sorry,
Dang.
Brian. It did not.
I thought I remembered seeing one with a thing on it, but
Yeah, so if it just comes in the like red box or whatever, like does that not count?
That doesn't count. No,
That's like greatest hits.
That's greatest
yeah,
hits.
never mind. Okay.
Completely different thing.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I suppose there wasn't a lot to add to that game, so I should have known better.
Yep. Jeffem, Halo 4. Game of the Year edition for Halo 4. Everyone's favorite Halo.
Yes.
It did. You nailed it.
Nice.
Despite not actually getting that award from anyone.
Yeah, maybe, probably not. Kelsey, Batman, Arkham Asylum. So that'd be the first Batman.
Okay. At least a couple of the Batmans did. I'm gonna go with yes on this, but it might be a trick question. It might have been like Arkham City that got it.
It did. It got
it did. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, Brian, back to you. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. Again, everyone's favorite Uncharted.
No.
It did.
Dang it. All that is it the multiplayer stuff that they jammed in there?
I don't know. I'm not sure. We got to ask Mitch about the specifics. Jeffem, Mass Effect 2.
I'm going to say no because we haven't had a no for a while.
It didn't. Mass Effect 2 did not.
There
Best
you go.
Mass Effect, arguably. Did not get a Game of the Year edition. Kelsey, Dragon Age Inquisition. Another BioWare title.
Inquisition. I'm really just trying to like rack my brain for boxes I've seen come across through my store.
Yeah.
They all kind of blend together. I'm gonna go yes.
It did.
Ooh.
It did. Which
Am I the only one getting them all wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing poorly on.
Yeah. Look,
we're all geniuses here, and
I'm pulling a Bill Murray from the beginning of Ghostbusters here. I'm just changing the answer.
Everyone else is getting them on Discord chat over.
Yeah. Brian, Forza Motorsport 5. Motorsport 5, the sim.
The Sim. No. Because don't they
It,
usually do Ultimate or something?
no, it got a game of the year.
Shock him again.
Now they do. Yeah, now they do the Ultimates and like Legendary. Dang it.
Yeah. All right, Jeff.
Ah,
Forza Horizon 5.
Yes.
The fun one.
Yes.
Guess what, Brian? He got it wrong. Game of the Year
Ah,
edition for that one.
join me.
no.
The failure side.
Kelsey, Metal Gear Solid 5. The Phantom Pain.
No.
No, you're right. It didn't. Kojima was gone. He didn't have time to make another version of the game. He was working on Death
They did
Stranding.
have a package where it was like thrown in with whatever the prequel thing.
Oh, what was it? Ground Zeroes.
Ground
Yeah.
Zeroes. But I
Right.
forget what the package name was though. Must not have been Game of the Year.
Yeah, maybe it was like right when the game came out, they released that version. Maybe I'm not sure. Brian, Gears 5, Gears of War 5.
No.
It did.
Damn it!
Wait, have you gotten any right at this point? I don't
No.
know.
I don't think so.
Oh no. Okay.
Ah.
Last one here, Jeff.
Darn it.
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The only recent From game, to not get any DLC. I think, except for Elden Ring. We'll see about that.
And yet, yes, it did.
It did. I shouldn't have given you that hint. I really screwed that
You
up.
blew it. You rigged the
You're
game.
editing this later, right? You can just cut that out.
Yeah. I'm going to cut out the one I got wrong. So we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Just have a montage of me like totally borking all of these.
Yeah, and we'll just here.
I got to get the sad trombone sound effect ready. And
yeah. Brian, can you give us a nice clean? I have to go to the bathroom real quick, and then we'll just cut out all your failures there.
You missed the quiz entirely.
Oh man, so that's it, you guys. It's Summer Game Fest episode. Now remember your promise to me. What was the question of the week? I'm not gonna give you hints. I'm not gonna tell. I have one in mind. I have
Oh man.
I think for me it was, even though I completely misinterpreted it, the past and future games.
yeah.
Good one. Okay.
That's the one I wrote down too.
That was the one that's where you can either have all the games from the past or all the games of the future, right?
Yes, that's one interpretation.
One of many.
Okay. That was the one I put a note next to as well. What do you think of that, Kelsey? Does that work?
I like it. That works.
All right, there we go. That's Chris Logan. Getting let's see, a vinyl copy of Tell Me Why, the Tell Me Why soundtrack. So congrats there. All right, now it's time for a little something called Get a Load of This. That's the song.
All right.
Jeff's gonna add. Oh, he's got it. All right.
Yep.
Brian, did you get a load of this week? You got a load of it?
I did. I know it's usually outside of the gaming realm, but this one I couldn't resist. You may realize already by this podcast that I'm have a lot of nostalgia for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really, really dug that the Cowabunga collection, which is also coming this year, got a lot of the classic games, including the Nintendo Ninja Turtles the arcade game interpretation, which famously had a Pizza Hut personal pan pizza coupon in the instruction booklet, and you could go get your personal pan pizza. Maybe you weren't reading as many books for Book It as you needed for that month, so you could use the video game to go get a free pizza, and there was Pizza Hut branding in the game and everything. I believe it's Limited Run Games.
It is Limited Run Games.
Yeah. Who's doing the physical copies for this game, and they are also, I believe, doing the Pizza Hut personal pan pizza, reviving that awesome promotion once again, and I think that's just great.
Amazing.
A great move. I love it. I love the idea of it.
Do you think Reggie Fils-Aimé was involved in that in any way? Did he send an email like, "Hey guys, I promise this is cool. You guys should do this"?
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
He was like, bring back the Bigfoot pizza.
This this is entirely, and I'll be upfront. I'm friends with Josh Fairhurst, who's the founder of Limited Run Games, and this is an entirely this is something I can just see him being like, well, I remember this and it was hilarious and really cool, and I'm gonna throw so much resources at making it happen.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably not worth it for them, but it's pretty fun.
It's important.
it seems like people are passing that around like this rules like a lot online. So I hope it pans out as a successful thing because I dig it.
Kelsey, got a load of this week?
I do. I think a lot of people by now have probably seen the DALL-E. Is that how you pronounce it? The weird image AI generator thing that's been kind of floating around.
You want to explain it real quick?
Yeah,
yeah.
it is a. I mean, I don't know exactly how it works, but it's an AI where you can feed it a prompt and it attempts to generate some images of whatever you are feeding it. So you can feed it the one I saw that was great was Columbo N64 game, and it spit out 9 images, and they all looked like an N64 game. You know, it's not great yet,
It's very
but
strange.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And there is a subreddit on Reddit called Weird Dolly that is just some of the strangest prompts that people are putting into it. There was an Among Us nativity scene that was very good, and Google Street View of Godzilla, just some real wild stuff in there. And I've been scrolling it for I was scrolling it for an hour this morning because it's very entertaining.
Is it a Salvador Dali pun? Is that kind of?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
They kind of look Dali-esque when you look at some of those things.
Yeah, a little melty, a little weird.
Yeah. Get a load of this, everybody. Friend of the show, Imran Khan, wrote a story over at fanbyte.com that I thought was pretty fascinating about the unannounced 1-2 Switch sequel, which was meant to be titled Everybody 1-2 Switch, or is it Everybody's? I think it's just Everybody 1-2 Switch.
Like Everybody's Golf or something?
Yeah, I guess. And Jeff, have you reviewed that game, I think, right? That's I think so.
I did.
You played a lot of it. It's not a good game. It's a bad game,
It's
but
not.
apparently it sold well enough for them to greenlight a sequel, which is weird because it didn't sell well because it was good. It sold well because there just wasn't anything else really available on Switch at the time. But apparently internally, according to Imran's story, it's just testing so poorly among consumers and stuff that they're some people want to release it as a $60 game and get it out the door. It's done. Let's get it out there. Another faction within Nintendo is if we release this, it will hurt Nintendo's reputation. That's how bad this thing supposedly is. Which is just it's just a fascinating thing. We'll have a link in the podcast and the sort of episode description to Imran's story, but it's a good read, and it's just, Imran did some good reporting work there, and I really liked it.
What was the internal reviews for the first game? How did that not kill that one?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I guess they were just all tech demos. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
It was novel enough, maybe, that people were like, this is interesting.
They should just put those resources into WarioWare. I don't know what they're doing over there. Jeffem.
Yeah, get a load of this.
Gallet?
Get a load of this. This one ties nicely into Kelsey's. There is a kind of subgroup on medium.com, which is a place where people can just post stories, but it's called mlearning-ai. And it's a bunch of different articles about machine learning and AI, including a lot of stuff about DALL-E 2, but I've had these stories pop up in my feed several times, and I have become convinced that the authors of the articles are also AI. The way that they are written, and they have specific authors who write different stories about all these different technologies and stuff, and they all have their own profile picture, and I think the profile pictures are fake, and I think the authors are fake, and I think it's all machine learning that someone's doing this weird experiment, because you read some of the stories and they kind of break down I apologize if they are real people and I'm criticizing their work, but there are times where the stories break down and you just look at sentences and it's like that sentence reads like it was written by a computer and it doesn't really make sense. And so if you want to take a look, it's a weird rabbit hole to go down to, and all the stories are about machine learning, so it would kind of make sense that someone was trying to do this, but we've reached
robots
that
writing about
age where we
themselves.
just don't know, what's being created by a machine and what's not. So have fun.
This is kind of a tangent, but have you guys seen that, like, there are sites that just kind of take news stories now and run them through some kind of thing where it changes some words to, like, synonyms, so it doesn't, it passes, like, whatever plagiarism filters or whatever. It always comes up in very funny ways for myself at the Video Game History Foundation, because the founder's name is Frank Cifaldi, and that is often translated in these articles to Forthright Cifaldi, which is
That's a great name.
very funny
Busted.
to me.
Let's see, quick gallet from the community here. That's very straightforward. I just found it a little interesting. Chris N shared this story that Joy-Cons are now compatible with your iPhone. So if you want to play mobile games with your Joy-Cons, go ahead, Brian. No one's stopping you.
Wow, that's neat.
It's right. It's neat.
I think
Oh my gosh.
I think I'm realizing I didn't say get a load of this before my thing, so I'm
No,
just
it's invalidated.
gonna get fried for that.
So there's someone
First the
backing
quiz
those
and
down.
now the get a load of this quiz.
Oh, that's you guys. We did it. We made it 2 weeks without Hansen. I'm proud of us.
Are we going to find him?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll go
Okay.
for the 3.
All right.
next week. We'll see. Kelsey, you got anything you want to plug before we wrap things up here? I know you got
You mentioned it briefly earlier in one of the questions, but I do have a podcast with the Video Game History Foundation called the Video Game History Hour, so check that out if you want. And yeah, that's where I'm at when I'm not here.
Nice. Brian, anything to plug?
Yeah, you can just find me online at Brian_Vor on Twitter.
Nice. Jeffem, do you plug stuff? You got stuff you want to plug?
No, I'm doing fine without it.
Okay.
Keep watching
Cool.
me on here. It's fine.
All right. Good. All right. Well, a couple of final things here. We got Trivia Tower coming up. The Grand Round. Anybody?
Grand round.
There we go. Happening on Sunday, June 19th at 2 p.m. Central, Europe. This is your round. Compete in video game trivia, and the last person standing wins $1,000. That's what the Grand Round is. So everyone who wants to support MinnMax on Patreon at any tier, you can compete in that. And then we also have something happening here. Get ready for Jurassic World Dominion by unlocking our new commentary track for the first Jurassic Park on Patreon with Ben Hansen, Leo Vader, and Brian Vore. You're a part of that, sounds like, right?
Yeah, it was a great time. I hadn't
There we
seen the
go.
original for a few years, so.
Nice. Yeah, so at the $5 tier, you can unlock that commentary track. And it's also just a great long podcast about why Jurassic Park rules. It's Ben's favorite movie, so I'm sure he was really excited to talk about it. And you can also, when you do that, you also unlock commentary tracks for Lord of the Rings, Advent Children, the Final Fantasy movie, The Matrix, and the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And then one final plug here, you can become a game champion by supporting MinnMax at the $50 tier on Patreon and lock in a game of your choice. And we have fun plans for that. If your game champion becomes the ultimate champion, we make content about the game. Which I think, Kelsey, you are on the Persona 1?
I was.
With confidence, I say? Cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, guys, that's it. That's our Summer Game Fest episode. We did it. I'm excited to not host again next week. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we find Ben.
If we find Ben.
If we find Ben. Yeah, maybe I'll be back again. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
Times.
All right. Well, hey, here we go. This is what we say at the end. Be good. Have fun. Let's go. All right, Kelsey, you can get out of here.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Cool, Jeffem, you have everything you need?
Yeah, the outro music is still playing. So
Am I
the end of this
talking
will be a
over it?
disaster, but don't worry about it.
I didn't know. You didn't tell
No,
me?
who knows? Who knows any of this? Look, Hansen's lucky he got a video podcast this week, and so is everybody else. So take that. Okay, I'm going to stop streaming it now.